So I'll just.
Go in there. I'll show you my office. Well. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Hello, Captain.
hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
How you doing? Ah. Ah,
You got my email?
yes,
Okay, yeah, just let me know which one and I'll,
I left early today because I split my day.
I extended it to the 31st
I
anyway,
split that.
so we're good.
Yep, yeah, that one. That
Then
one.
this way I'll let this person know you can't have this because of this and whatever.
Yep, yes, okay, yeah, I'll do that first thing tomorrow morning.
You know, who knows if they're still gonna go through with it, so. Whew, all right.
And it's the unofficial Captain Brownie.
No, I'm official. I was sworn in.
Terry's official,
I'm official. I was sworn in October 2nd, something like that.
something like that.
Yeah.
You know, the video has the red line through it, right?
Oh, yeah. Does. Bottom, the video on the bottom left,
What about it?
it's hashed out, that means it's not on.
The other day.
Oh, turn it on. Each one.
Oh, baby, okay, were they using Zoom for that? That's not Zoom.
Just wanna turn this on.
Yeah.
Click on the video.
No.
Right.
Notice.
What about everything, chief?
I can do. 5 years of. Had a computer first.
Yeah, but you don't have someone sit your head there. Yeah, you know what, you're probably right. Probably easier.
Well, obviously, birds of a feather. Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, tomorrow we probably gonna do the owl.
What time is that?
It's at 11:30, so I would wanna leave it like 10:45.
That's good.
Nah. Then Friday. We got 4 coming here.
So I have to pick up Monday from the knowledge to go around.
Here.
Question and.
You know, yeah, Friday, Friday's coming in. So I'm not taking there. So it's only, it's like. Hey, Mike. So, 8:39, 9:30. Yeah, 9.
He's going up and he's going. I gotta need a. You can just. That's first start is associated. So, not there. Yeah. So you submit that.
Just want you to know, I realize this is. coming back to shoulder, it's very much-
So maybe we didn't. Yeah. Then that's what I was.
They were state days.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah, I think so much of scared, they let me go. I remember. I was only.
I have, peppermint and like licorice. Like licorice. I think we can get them all.
Yeah, but I want to. Getting was easier at two of us. Yeah. Let's go this way. I graduated. You're closer than us. You're right there. Hey, what? What are you doing? Good. You have been like tomorrow night at the Northburg? You're at 5 o'clock, right? I've done it. The last 16 years, we've been all the way since the. She, oh, you are.
But come better.
Oh, yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
It's a nice group, I know, it's a nice. Hello, Mayor.
I'm taking off.
So I have everybody's looking around, right, so she like, that great pants that supposed to have. They got it. You know, they're cool. I know. Yeah. Next day.
Average there.
Yeah, farm is good. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, tomorrow is a meeting for Kevin, right? Oh, I just. Oh, good. I should make. A lot of exciting things happening. Hey, Erica, how you doing? How are you? Good. Yes. Yes.
So this stuff that we brought, where we.
Stop freezing in here.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in. I would count that as. It's really somebody having that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, somebody just gone.
Yeah.
We should see how this. That's a few.
Thank you. You know, I'm like, it's gonna be hot there. And,
You know, I just, I thought seriously.
Glad I grabbed something that I got very. Mr. Cannon's gonna be in 2 minutes late. Mr. Cannon's gonna be in 2 minutes late.
Oh, something different.
Is the show all over there at all before?
No. No, I didn't get letters or anything. I just been.
Yeah, anything that had been adjusted is there.
Yeah, I think it's a Halloween.
I never go.
Yeah, that was my oversight and I didn't put it on the agenda, but it's gotta go on there, so. Because the next meeting is not till November, so. And then I want to put that.
Jeez Louise. I pledge allegiance.
To the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I wish to announce that a 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act. Was emailed to the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and the New Coaster on December the 7th of 2023. That a copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the borough office and that a copy has been filed with the borough clerk. As a courtesy to the public, this meeting may be attended via Zoom. If for any reason the Zoom portion of this meeting fails or is disconnected, the in-person meeting will continue and action can and will be taken providing there is an in-person quorum. Ms. DeNoble?
Here.
Mr. Gubatose?
Here.
Ms. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here.
Mayor Fox?
Here. Good evening, everybody. Again, I'll just start with welcome to our 19th meeting of the year. We're kind of winding down the year. We have 2 meetings scheduled right now. we may need another, I've been talking to the borough administrator about that. We'll figure that out in a couple of weeks. I just, again, my commercial announcement that I've made every meeting this year, and continue to emphasize although we should welcome disagreement and that it helps us think things through with different perspectives, our voices should be constructive. We all want a brighter Bradley Beach and ask you to join us in that journey. And I ask everybody to gauge their tone going forward. We're all neighbors. Let's make civility, decency, and underpinning of these discussions. This is an exciting night. We've got a couple of interesting presentations, one from our police, two of the key contributors to our town, our police force, and also our environmental team. Although I don't see our environmental team, we're gonna start with the police, I guess. I know that they're coming because they said that they were ready, so we'll see. We also have some major improvements to the community, the bonding for those, we're gonna kick those off. So we don't have any workshops tonight, but we do have these two presentations. Why don't we start with the environmental commission? Not the environmental, there's a police. But environmental, have you spoken to?
I sent him the presentation and last week,
Michelle has it, but
Jeff said, oh, I'll see you tonight. And I said, no, it's not tonight, it's next week.
well, he
That-
texted me a half hour ago and said he's ready, so
Well,
he's
that
not as ready
sounds
as we
pretty.
thought. So why don't we start with the police?
Okay.
There it is.
Should we yell to Michelle to? Enable?
I think the chief's gonna do it.
Yeah.
He's gonna control it. I think the environmental, Michelle's gonna do it. We vote.
Something a little bit more briefly.
Yeah, you can move, just finish.
Don't move too much.
Yeah, I don't wanna-
It's out.
Yeah, you don't wanna go too much, but.
Sure.
Better? Can you see better? You don't have no chapter read, do you?
No,
Okay, good.
I don't have my reader.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Obviously, the governing body hopefully knows who I am. But for those of you in the crowd, if you don't know me, my name is James Arnold. I am the chief of police here in Bradley Beach. So I was asked to do a quick presentation on the police department. For the benefit of time and everybody here, I tried to keep it as brief and broad as possible. But as the more time I spent doing this, the more I remember how much we're actually responsible for. Which is a good thing, because I don't think people understand how much we actually are responsible for nowadays. So there is some things I had to maybe cut out that aren't involved in the presentation, but I'll try to cover as much as I can, all right? So obviously, everybody knows Bradley Beach was established in 1893. We didn't have a police department right away. There was a marshal in 1893, which happened to be James A. Bradley. We did not have a police chief until 1935. And this photo here, which based on the cars, looks to be in the 30s at some point. The gentleman all the way to the left there was the first police chief in Bradley Beach in 1935 to 1950, Charles Poland. This photo is an actual photo of Bradley Beach police officers there, and I don't know if you can tell, but it looks like it's taken at the train station here, looking east. That's the monument that's still there in the park today. And the buildings, 606 Main there, and Del Ponte's over there, doesn't look like it's changed all that much.
More colorful.
So like I said, 1935 was the first police chief. I'm the 8th chief, so there hasn't been very many chiefs since 1935. So we have an ordinance in town, obviously, that establishes how many police officers we'll have. Currently, it is 18 police officers. It used to be 19, which would be nice if we could get that back to 19. But that 18 includes myself and 17 additional officers. And the breakdown, which is in the ordinance, we have a captain, 2 lieutenants, 3 sergeants and 11 patrol officers. And within the patrol officers, we have 2 detectives. Also, part of our police department, obviously, is our police dispatchers. And a lot of them watch this and they always love getting props. We talk about them, but in all seriousness, people don't realize that dispatching is one of the hardest things to do. Because the stress level in there, you just have to be a certain type of person. Taking some of the calls that they take, these 911 calls and dispatching fire and first aid, there's a lot. And they really do a lot for us.
Chief,
So-
can we ask questions as you go or just, but finish that on dispatch, that's wrong.
Okay. So these are 3 of our full-time dispatchers. We just promoted a class 1 to dispatcher recently, so he's not in the photo. So we have 4 full-time dispatchers. We handle about 15,000 calls per service annually. Okay, the car stops, 911 calls, first aid calls, fire, and so on and so forth. They also do a lot for us for records. So a lot of agencies, a lot of towns have records departments, secretaries. We don't have a records department or a secretary, so we rely on them for a lot of things. So they really do a great job for us. They also provide that hometown feel. I know there was a big push years ago for a lot of towns to utilize Monmouth County Sheriff's Department to dispatch, which some towns do that. However, what happens is your doors are locked, no one's really in the building, and you go up, you have a phone, and you're calling somebody out in Freehold, right? So a lot of those people never lived here, they don't live here, they don't know the area, they're not gonna know events going on in the town, they're not gonna be able to answer those questions. So they really do provide that hometown feel. You can walk in and you have somebody you can talk to. And hopefully people enjoy having that.
So that was actually the basis, the question I wanted to ask. I know that there is county dispatch.
Mhm.
Do you know how many towns are standalone and how many are just county?
I would say. It's probably 50%.
50/50? Okay,
Yes.
all right. So that dispatch county group's a big group then, I would imagine.
Yes, they have a very, very nice facility out there. It is a big dispatch center and it's a nice setup.
In Freehold?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But what comes along with it is they do. They push a lot of their equipment on you. It does come with a cost, it starts, at one cost, it definitely increases because now you have to, when they're updating the radio equipment and they're going digital and
That's
all this new, it comes with a cost because now you're required to.
You gotta
update your
standardize,
equipment.
yeah.
So
It-
it's a lot.
Just one follow-up to that. Is there a lot of or any interface with them between our dispatch group and?
Yeah, so at our desk, we do have a radio there, and we can communicate with them. It's called a hotline.
Okay,
So the county will put something out over the hotline and it goes out to the entire county.
got it.
So
Okay,
we have direct contact with them.
thank you.
All right, so moving on. So as well, also along with the dispatchers, we have your special officers that you'll see. Usually people think they're special officers, that's who you're seeing up at the beach. So there's 2 types of special officers. There's, we call them SLEO, special law enforcement officers. SLEO 1s and SLEO 2s. So a SLEO 2, if you don't know, they have full police powers, okay, they carry guns. They have police powers only when they're working, okay, so they don't take their weapon home with them, they sign it in and out. And they have full police powers only when they're working, okay, so when they're off duty, they don't have full police powers. So they receive 6 months of training, just like a regular police officer. They kind of have commingled classes nowadays, so when you graduate the Class 2 Academy, you have that same certification. So if you do get hired somewhere, you don't have to go back. And if you had to go back, you're only talking about maybe a week of training. So, these days, it's a lot of municipalities are finding it very difficult to find police officers. They're not finding as many people interested in the field anymore for obvious reasons. So they are very desirable once they get that certification. So this is our most recent group. They just graduated in May. There's 5 of them there. Of the 5, we only have 2 remaining with us because the other ones already got picked up. They're very desirable because they have the training already. So I'll move on to the Class 1s. So the Class 1s, this is our most recent group of Class 1s. for the summer, they go to like a two-week training. They're usually right out of high school. Right out of high school. They graduate sometimes high school within days of the training. They go for 2 weeks. And, you know, they're essentially a seasonal officer. That's what you see up at the beachfront. They help us with parking and ordinance violations on the beach and so on and so forth. So I didn't get to it. So we usually have about 3 to 6 class 2s. And we utilize them year round for the most part. Different events will kind of supplement the police department. So we have a 2-person minimum. We can use them as additional officers on the road. So, but like I said, it's hard to keep them because other towns grab them right away. So class 1s, they kind of just get their feet wet. They're seeing if they're interested in the field, and then, you know, hopefully they can move on to class 2 the following year and they'll go to 6-month training. So, and we usually try to have 15 to 20 class 1s a year to help out, but again, they become very desirable as well, and we lose them throughout the year. Another thing we were very involved in, especially the past, say, five years, is we're big into the recruiting now. So the captain here, he takes a lot of pride in this. He'll go out to job fairs, and the Academy of Law and Public Safety is a high school program that allows high school students to go into this program, and it kind of trains them to be, you know, police officers. So, you know, we have the whole setup, as you see, gives away pens and bags, and, you know, we have the curtain with our logo on it and everything, so, and they do really well. So our police administration, I'll kind of break down the police department. So our police administration would be myself, the captain, and our 2 lieutenants. And this is where I talk about getting into what we're responsible for. So, you know, like I said, it's not just, you know, everything's just driving around, you're enforcing, you know, criminal laws and traffic and parking. There's a lot more involved, especially this day and age, with just the reporting that's required of us to the Attorney General's office, the prosecutor's office, Homeland Security. There's a lot. So basically, you know, this is a shortened version, but we're very involved in policy. So it seems like every week, a different policy guidelines are coming down from the Attorney General's office, the prosecutor's office, and it's our job to make sure that's disseminated out to the department. Okay, and adjustments have to be made, obviously, to different municipalities. Training, you know, is very, very big now, and I'll get into police licensing, which is kind of the biggest project we're working on right now. So everybody has to be licensed in the state as a police officer, so there's training, there's a lot of training that's required for that. Internal affairs, we'll usually have about 3 internal affairs officers, and internal affairs handles internal complaints, okay? Records, like I said, we don't have a records department or secretary, so we're heavily involved in records, requests, maintaining records. We're required to maintain, you know, reports for a certain amount of time, so we're very involved in that. We obviously have a budget. We have to maintain that budget, control that budget. We have to do payroll, scheduling, timekeeping. Our equipment is the biggest thing. One of the biggest things for us is our equipment, purchasing equipment, maintaining our equipment. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of reporting annually, every 6 months, depends on the agency, but we have to report a lot of things to the Attorney General's office, the prosecutor's office, Homeland Security. We're very involved in firearms ID cards, permits, carry permits. We have to constantly be looking at our technology, our computers inside and our cars, just making sure we're staying up to date. Our radio equipment, our Alcatest, which is most people know as your breathalyzer, that comes with a lot of training and making sure everybody's still going to training on the Alcatest. A lot of maintenance on that equipment as well. Our motor fleet, our cars. We do have a couple of officers, which really benefits us a lot, is government surplus. The mayor saw last week, I think, we got 8 chairs, you know.
Chief, the connection to Zoom isn't working. Somebody just texted me. I don't know how to address that.
No, I'm sorry, the what?
For this.
Yes, they can't see it.
I can't see it.
Sure, I can
try.
Yeah.
Only mess with them.
I would send it after, just put it out on the website. If you try to mess with it now.
Yeah. So surplus, so we're able to, you know, government agencies will put out things they're getting rid of, chairs, radars, computers, there's different things that car computers for the police cars. So we're very good about always monitoring that and trying to get equipment for free. So we just got 8 chairs, you know, but they're really nice chairs. So they drove out to New York and they picked up these 8 chairs and we was all excited. They all have new chairs.
I'm laughing because I went back to the police group the other day and 4 or 5 guys are sitting around in a circle in a chair and I was like, what is
We've
this?
got, we only them out of the pickup truck and we're sitting in the back.
Yeah, it was like a little, like a Kumbaya session. Yeah.
We're always trying to save money. So, you know, we're in charge of special officers, their training, our crossing guards, we also handle our crossing guards.
But Chief, I'm sorry, you don't have any kind of administrator or anything like that? You do all the administration yourself or? You do it, you
No.
pick somebody to. who's
Hey, we
working
divvy it
for-
up, so we divvy it up amongst the
do?
administration. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's the minutes, you mean,
so between myself, the captain, lieutenants, we're pretty much doing all that, so. A lot of times have a secretary that helps out a lot. It's just this day and age is becoming more and more.
yeah,
Like, say, I know Wall Township, they'll have somebody just dedicated to
Right.
firearms, ID cards and permits and carry permits. So it's a lot, so we're
Yeah.
just doing it all.
without any kind of admin
Yes,
support, okay.
Yes. So our patrol division, which is what everybody thinks, you know, just that's what the police do. And within our patrol, detectives fall in patrol, so it's not, I guess. Some states and maybe consider, maybe even some municipalities in the state, that's a promotion, but it's just detectives here, just an assignment from patrol. And then the K9 unit, which everybody got the pleasure of getting a presentation from them already, they fall within patrol as well. So our patrol, so we work 8-hour shifts here, we have 3 sergeants, like I said, we'll have 3 squads, the sergeant's in charge of the squad. The required minimum officers on the road, like I mentioned earlier, is 2 officers. So, 2 officers is tough because if you think about it, you know, you see. An officer stop a car and the other person comes to back them up, you get people that are wondering why, the dogs are on the boardwalk or this is going on. Here and there, you have to understand it's tough, going 2 police officers on the road, if they. At a call at a house, something may be missed, so there's times, we do our best, and I think we do a pretty good job of it, but. There's gonna be times where those 2 officers are tied up, and that's where our special officers come in and they help us out. So main responsibilities. Of course, are traffic enforcement, parking enforcement, ordinances, and what we really pride ourselves on, and I think everybody's seen it, especially over the past year, is our community policing. Getting out there and getting involved in the community. So you mentioned earlier about administration and breaking up responsibilities. So within patrol, we try to spread out some of these responsibilities as well as the administration. We have a DARE officer, as you know, they go to school and throughout the year, they're doing education to the students there. We have a Megan's Law officer who handles any sex offender registration. We have an officer for that, juvenile officer that handles the majority of your juvenile issues. And if there's any questions about how to handle juveniles and proper procedure, we have an officer for that. Our TAC, the terminal agency coordinator, deals with our network, our computers, our equipment, so we have somebody for that. Firearms instructors, because we have to qualify twice a year with firearms, so we'll have dedicated firearms instructors, and they have to keep up on their training as well. And then we have a traffic officer, so the traffic officer is kind of a big lift. I did that up until this past year for 15 years, and basically, you're reviewing all the crash reports that everybody does. You have to, once they're approved, they have to be sent out to different agencies. Any serious crash investigation, they'll come out and they'll assist in the investigation. All DWI reports, they have to approve those. They all have to be sent out to certain agencies. The alpha test, the breathalyzer machine, will also maintain that. Make sure everybody's up on the training for that. And then also planning all the events that are in town. Usually the events that are requiring road closures, so the biggest ones are your parade, Memorial Day parade, and Bradley Beach's 5K, which is a big lift. So that's kind of the assignments that are within patrol. The Detective Bureau, so just like the dispatchers, the Detective Bureau has a lot on their plate as well. Because with the records, like you brought up before, they help out a lot with that as well. So they're not only doing, obviously doing investigations, follow-up investigations, your patrol officers will take them to court, they'll do all the follow-up and go out and try to get surveillance footage, so on and so forth. But they're also, the biggest thing they help us out with is records. Okay, so you have attorneys always sending in for discovery, reports, and so on and so forth, so they'll be tasked with that. Oprah, your Open Public Records Act, they'll get all the reports for that. So, and the biggest thing, especially right now, is they'll supplement patrol. So, like I said, we're always trying to save money. Vacations, stickouts, injuries, so on and so forth, we will pull from the Detective Bureau to alleviate overtime going out. So they also cover the road for us as well. We have 2 detectives, like I said, and somebody is always on call. I really don't have to get into K9 unit too much, because they came in and did a presentation. Some of you, I'm sure, were here for that. So we have three K9 officers, and they're trained in explosives, patrol, and traffic. So a lot of people don't know this, so our shared services, so one of the biggest things I'm proud of in my career is that the county SWAT team, the Monmouth County Emergency Response Team, I was on that team for 15 years. When I left, another officer took my place there, and so the county, no towns really maintain SWAT team anymore. It's a county SWAT team. They train twice a month, and they'll come out to any towns that are having barricade situations, hostage situations, high risk search warrants. So they're highly trained officers in the county. So we have one of our officers is on that team currently. Also, a supplement to the county SWAT team is what's called the Rapid Deployment Force. So we have 2 officers assigned to that. So they are more or less, say the SWAT team had an incident, they will come out and they're trained in traffic control, they'll set up a perimeter, they'll maintain that perimeter for everybody. They specialize also in crowd control, there's riots, so on and so forth. So we have 2 officers assigned to that. And all this is great training that they receive out there, and they can also bring it back to our department. So another thing, active shooter partnership, which a lot of people don't know about. So another thing I was heavily involved in. So there's 4 active shooter partnerships throughout the county. We are in the Southern Monmouth Active Shooter Partnership. So that covers 12 towns, and it's every town from Asbury Park, Neptune, every town in between, all the way down to Wool, Manasquan, Brio. So they train once a month. And I was the lead instructor for that for 5 years, got that started. And from all our partnership, now there's 4 in the whole county. So we have 2 instructors that are part of that as well. And again, they bring that back to us and they can train our department. We also have 2 officers assigned to the Monmouth County Dive Team. We have 1 officer on the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force out of the prosecutor's office. So anytime it was a 6-month training, and then anytime, there's an incident in the area, he'll go out and help that task force team. We had 1 officer not too long ago that was assigned to the FBI task force, and he would work with them for a 6-month period and bring all that training back to us. And we already spoke about K9 and our answers team. So we have a couple of members of the department that are part of the answers team. That's your water rescue team. So that's Neptune, Bradley Beach, Avon, Neptune City. So there's a water rescue team that anytime there's a swimmer distressed or a boating issue, the members of our department, as well as the other departments, along with your lifeguards, fire department, first aid, it's one big team. Okay. Community policing, I already mentioned that, we're very involved. Hopefully, everybody sees that. We love playing basketball against the synagogue every year. Big into the DARE program and our National Night Out. So equipment, that's our biggest thing. Our necessities, a lot of what is required of us, we all have to have body worn cameras. We are on our second set of body worn cameras. We're coming up on next year. We're probably gonna need to update those body worn cameras, and those are mandatory. We have to have them. Computers are a big thing for us, not only inside our building, but also in the police cars. It kind of takes a little bit off the dispatchers because officers have the abilities to check registrations, licenses, check for warrants. It takes a lot off the dispatchers, so that's a key necessity that we have. Radar units, you'll see some of the cars that have what looks to be cameras on top, those are license plate readers. Our first aid supplies, also our defibrillators, which also we're having to update them next year as well, so that comes at a cost. Firearms, our ammunition, the message board you see down on Ocean Avenue, hoping to get another one soon that just does radar. We get a lot of speed complaints throughout the town. I'm looking to get a smaller radar that is just very easily accessible and you can move it around all over the place. The one down there does speed, but it's a little big and cumbersome. So also a beach vehicle, you know, obviously these vehicles that the big loud vehicle, someone called it, the orange, the Kubota, someone called it.
Yeah,
Kubota. So anyway, the beach really beats that up. So we're coming up on the end of that life cycle of that vehicle, so we're looking to hopefully get one next year. And also our bulletproof vests. Our biggest, most important tool, which sometimes comes up a lot, is our patrol vehicles. So our goal is to replace one vehicle every year. And right on here, it's not miles, it's the hours. Okay, so obviously the computers, the radars, the radios all work off the ignition. So the cars have to be on. So they're not constantly driving around. There's a lot of idle time. So Ford, which makes up a lot of our fleet, what says that 1 hour of idle time equals 33 miles of wear and tear. So just as an example, so we have 7 marked police cars. We have 3 primary police cars. And when I say primary, we kind of go off the police academy. When you send people to training, they require a certain vehicle to go there. It has to be in certain condition. Okay, it can't be older than 6 years old. The brakes have to be at a certain point, the tires, so on and so forth. So we have 3 primary vehicles that would meet the requirements that go out to the police academy. So our 2 of our primary police cars, which are Fords, 2 of them are 2021s, the 2 Fords. They right now have just idle hours, have just over 4,000 idle hours. That in itself, based off what we're saying, puts those cars at 137,000 miles. That doesn't even include the actual 40,000 miles that are 45,000 miles that are on them. So essentially, we have 2 primary cars with what Ford would say has close to 170,000 miles. So that's it's the idle time that hurts these cars. And you see it because you're like, oh, it only has 40,000 miles. Why is it always in the shop getting fixed? So that's the point of trying to replace them every year. So there's a resolution offered tonight to get a car for 2024 here. We have 2 cars slated to go to auction or get rid.
When you send these vehicles with the officer for training, do they get rejected if they have too many miles that they
Yes.
can't go through the course?
They're too old or brakes or, yeah, they'll get rejected. That's another thing. So we have 3 primary cars. And so every 3 recruits at the academy has to have 1 car assigned to them to go to the training. So we, of the 3 primary cars, 2 of them, if we have 5 class 2s going in next year, 2 cars have to go out there, which leaves us 1 primary car. And now we're down to, like I mentioned, we have 7. The next 2 are 2018s, and they have 100,000 miles on them already, regardless of the idle hours. So, you know, that's why we try to maintain getting a new vehicle every year. Police licensing, like I mentioned earlier, that's the biggest project we are currently working on, and the captain and I have been working on this a lot lately. So it became effective in January, this past January, joining over 40 states. All police officers in New Jersey must hold a valid active license. This is to ensure police officers are in good standing with their employees, meet certain uniform professional standards, receive ongoing training in the best practices in the field. So there's some mandatory training that's involved in this, and it aims to improve officer development and safety and bolstering trust between law enforcement and the public. So the way it works is you get the license and it's good for 3 years. So every 3 years, you're going through a full background check on every officer. Okay, and if things pop up, they'll suspend your license or you'll lose your license and you no longer have a job. So it's a big lift on the agencies, especially not having records or secretaries. It's a big lift. So, because we have to do the background checks. So the way they did it is they broke it up to a certain. So for 2024, a certain amount of our officers got a license. Okay, and that license is good for 3 years, but it's not all our officers right now. So say I got a license this year, it's good for 3 years. Next year, some other officers it's only for 1 year, right? And then next year, just they tried to break it up, so you're not doing all the officers' background checks in the same year.
Chief, so who sets the standard for the
The
licensing,
Police Training Commission?
police training, which is part of
It's a
40 states?
State agency.
But you said 40 states are involved in it, so,
40 other states in the country have already been doing licensing.
okay, so it's gonna be a Jersey state
Yes,
thing, okay.
they're using standards from other states, which generally New Jersey is held to one of the highest standards. So it's very involved in background checks.
So would it prevent a police officer who's been fired from another department from getting a job in our department, or would that be discretionary?
Yes, so if you move from one department to another, you wanna go to a different department for whatever reason, they're gonna look at that license, make sure you have a valid license. Essentially, it's always checking to make sure, there could be times where an officer could get involved in something somewhere in the country and you would never know about it, so. It's just, you're doing a background check every 3 years, making sure you're getting the best police officer out there. And to make sure that, there's not, it could be driving infractions, a suspended license. They're going as far as you've had careless driving, certain amount of careless driving tickets, you may not get a license. So it's very strict. Could be as something as simple as untruthfulness, you can lose your license. Looking towards the future, so what we're looking towards this year, hopefully this coming year. I mentioned that speed trailer, I'd like to get that, so, we can take care of some of the speeding complaints. Beach vehicle, like I mentioned, I'd like to expand some of the surveillance cameras around the town, especially down on the beachfront. Training, we need more and more training, especially for this police licensing. We have one license plate reader on one of our cars. Gotta be 10 years old, so it's a benefit to having that, so we're hoping to see if we can get another unit. Updating our technology, it's always changing, so we really need to update some of our computers, our radar units, and obviously building a stronger relationship with community and especially the grammar school.
Any opportunities for volunteers that we can help you with?
Sure. All you have to get a hold of you and figure something out.
So these are our two officers that.
Yeah, so I'd be remiss that I'll just end the presentation with, so I learned this very quickly when I was in the police academy. So we are one of only 3 towns in all of Monmouth County that have lost 2 officers in the line of duty. So if you didn't know, Jack Wright lost his life in trying to break up a robbery. what used to be the Quick Tech over here, and Charles Cousins, who died in police motorcycle accident, so you're remiss if I didn't mention that. And that's it.
Great, thanks, chief. Any questions by council or comments?
Had a couple of questions in the audience.
Yeah, this group presentation, we're trying to, okay. Move along here, as we're already over time. Any questions? by council?
None for me.
Chief, problem for you? That's why it's a presentation.
I know,
Council
but
President.
there's a lot of questions that have been
Well, I
asked,
think,
so I think a couple extra wouldn't matter.
yeah, well, I
So,
think,
Why we have them here.
well, we have them here, they can ask after the meeting. I mean,
All right.
yeah. We're really pressed for time, yeah, thank you.
I know.
Thanks, he's not going anywhere, so.
All right.
All right, the second group we have tonight is the Environmental Commission. Yeah, can we have some more, please? And I think, what is that? The top thing?
No idea, I can't.
We probably need to tell,
Thank you, chief.
could you get Michelle? Yeah. Just give us 1 second. We've got some odd stuff on the screen here. Yeah. Sure.
We ask questions now.
I think it's okay. Why don't we just go to?
Here it is.
I was trying to share a screen, that's all it is. It's my.
That's you, okay, never mind, okay, thank you.
What do I have to do to move it? Michelle's gonna do it.
Feel free to do all the work for you, how's that?
We
You
hope.
just need to talk.
Okay, so I'm Jeff Curtis. I've been recently made chair of the Environmental Commission. I've been on the commission for about 6 years now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what the commission does and has done. So you can move to the next slide, which is an overview. So that says the Environmental Commission was
Larry, I was trying to get that off.
Yeah. No, the big, can't you do that from your computer?
No, she has to do it.
Why don't you keep going, Jeff? I just try to get.
The Environmental Commission was established for the protection of the borough's natural resources and for open spaces. The members are myself as chair, Kristen Mahoney as a council liaison. I like Jeske, Rona Parker, Liz Hernandez, Daniel Badgley, Dennis Martins, and Caitlin Sadushi Sorensen. Keep going.
Go ahead, sorry.
All right, so those are the list of the members, some are recently appointed. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide and talk about beach sweeps, which we just had ours last weekend. We do them in the spring and the fall, April 13th, October 19th. We volunteer to provide table and operate as the larger group for Bradley Beach. We had about 50 people on the beach on Saturday morning cleaning up, and we will report our findings back to the larger group, and there'll be a report about what was found on the beaches of New Jersey. It's a good volunteer opportunity, particularly for kids that participate in. We also do the annual Green Fair.
Next slide.
So we did shell painting craft and we did trash and recycling collection. We tried to do the film a while ago, giving out the plastic barrels to people, which didn't quite work out, but we're hoping that people are still doing the film at the recycling center. We did a thing where we had a bunch of bottle caps and we had a contest where naming how many were in the bottle caps, but we participate every year in the Green Fair. The big thing that we do is, we participate in Sustainable Jersey certification. We are bronze certified. We got that again in 2023. We'll be recertified next year in the process. We're a Sustainable Jersey certified town. You align your municipality with community values while saving your resources. The program helps communities improve efficiency, cut waste, and stimulate their local economies. Registered towns get special priority access and notification of incentives and grants and are eligible for the Sustainable Jersey Grants Program, which we use. And then the last thing is we're looking again at the bylaws of our group, just to see if they're up to date. And so we've given them back into the attorney to look at them. We've also collected some of the surrounding town bylaws for their environmental commissions, just so that we're paying attention and keeping it up to date. Questions?
Yeah, Jeff, there was an initiative going on 3, 4, 5 months ago. It was back and forth with Public Works and the Environmental Commission. They adopted the storm drain.
Right, we were talking about whether we could get enough volunteers in town to set up a process of adopting a drain. It has not worked out. We've not found enough people who are interested in monitoring their local drain, and DPW is doing a fairly good job right now of monitoring the drains. So we haven't found enough energy or initiative to do it. We did set up a chart. We have a chart of where all the drains are in town.
Okay.
And so that's all available. The question now is whether we want the Adopt a Drain program to come and teach us how to do this work. And it requires having a significant number of volunteers from the community who are willing to take on the role of monitoring their local drain.
I don't know if you know this, but do you know how many drains you're talking about, or is it like?
Probably 200.
Wow.
Sure. I mean, there's several corners where there's a lot of drains because of the, getting rid of the water. And there's certain parts of the city where it's more important to consider this than other parts of the city.
Yeah.
So that's also.
Yeah, Public Works could probably tell you what they are, yeah.
The what?
Public Works could probably tell you.
Oh, they can tell us where they are.
Yeah. The culprits.
So we've just dropped it for now. We may pick it up again, but we haven't found enough interest to do it yet.
Okay. Any other questions, Calvin?
Yeah, quick one. Jeff, you mentioned we're at bronze level, Sustainable New Jersey.
Right.
Can you give us a rough idea of what it takes to get to a silver or gold or whatever other levels are above?
A lot more work of doing programs and activities that meet their criteria. Being a smaller community, we don't have those kind of projects that get us to the silver or the gold. They're much more for the long. So, we're doing stuff with the grammar school and some of the park initiatives that we're doing meet their requirements, but we don't have like the big things that would get more points. It's all about points,
Okay.
getting points.
Yeah, we're in the process of doing the state thing right now, and we're
Right.
trying to get to that number. So I hear you. It's a challenge. Yeah, okay.
Meredith was very involved in getting this going.
She was doing that as part of the environment, when she was on environment.
Well, so she was chairing it, yeah,
Yeah, because she's now doing the
right.
form for the Sustainable New Jersey here, so she's having a blast. Okay, great, thanks, Jeff, appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, we can move to the next agenda item, which is approval of minutes, want to approve, or, yeah, thank you.
This one, I don't know.
Yes.
You got it?
No,
Okay, here we go, okay. Thanks.
approve the minutes of the October 9th, 2024 council business meeting.
Second. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yeah,
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Next item is public comments or questions pertaining to 2020, to the 10/23/24 agenda. Those are items only. Any questions on the agenda? Yes.
Thomas J. Colansky, Chief, I did have a question. I didn't want to yell it out to the audience, but if we did go to the county program, those dispatchers wouldn't be here, correct?
No, they're not.
But they would then have to be replaced with records personnel, wouldn't it, to fill that spot
Could be.
or that void? Okay, I was just curious how that worked.
Yeah.
I had a couple questions on the bills list. Bear with me, it's small print. We get it from. What does Ellicott Networks Consultants do?
It's our systems guys.
They're your systems guys, and that's a regular contractual payment of
Yes, it is.
$7,500 for the quarter?
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. And really quickly. But what are the Joel Weisberg fact finder fee and expenses?
It's our mediator.
Is that for the DPW?
Yeah, it's for the local 152.
Local 150, so that's $2,673 we are not giving to the DPW, we're giving to a mediator. Just want to clarify.
It's
Is that
cost.
correct? Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. It's cost of the mediator.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And what does Prime Point do for $2,859?
Well,
That puts our payroll, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And is that fee based on a quarterly payout? Or is that per month?
Unfortunately, TJ, I don't know how they bill. I wanna say that is quarterly, but I don't wanna
Right.
tell you that's a guaranteed answer.
I appreciate you trying to do it while the business administrator's not here.
That's
but
okay.
thank you.
I'm almost positive though, but I can find out and let you know.
All right,
All right?
thank you very
Okay,
much.
so-
Yes.
We've at 414 Monmouth Avenue. I have a question for Chief Arnold. So, if someone contacts 911, does it go directly to the Bradley Beach station?
No, so they call them ESACs, so certain agencies do take in 911 calls. For the most part, the county takes in the majority of 911 calls, and then it's forwarded to us. It could be on that hotline, or they'll pick up the phone and call us.
So for a resident, what is the most expedient way if you have an emergency? Because it was my understanding that I heard that, you probably should actually call the phone number of the police
Yes,
department.
you're gonna get your fastest response calling us directly,
Okay, so that's.
because there is a delay.
Right.
And again, being out, just picture this enormous room out in Freehold. And there's. Could be 50 dispatchers in there, so, other things may be taking priority, there's going to be a delay by the time it gets to us.
So residents should really be aware of that for the
Yes.
fastest response to call the police.
Yes, and every time we, put up a Facebook post, about something, I always put up, contact us directly and provide a number.
Okay, great, thank you, and thank you for that presentation. I have a question on the bill list, and it's not, well, actually, so this is with regard to, third quarter 2024 billing to the SCAT bus. And that's in the amount of $2,015. I don't know if that's a quarterly fee, multiply that times 4, about $8,100 a month. And that's the Monmouth County Division of Transportation. The reason I'm calling attention to that is I was aware of a resident who had contacted the borough, an elderly resident who needed some services to get to either doctor's offices or something like that. And I looked on the borough website. I wasn't aware that we offer any services except to go to the county level. So my question is, what is this $2,015 fee for? And this is a quarterly.
What page is that?
That is on page 17.
Thank you.
Do we actually offer these services? I scanned the borough website. I got no information about any real senior services.
That's through the county level, you are correct. Scat, I believe, is like a bus service, like to go to like the grocery store. I have to look at the contract again, but it is something that we do yearly through the county.
So do we offer this service to residents to participate in?
Because it's not something that you participate in. I have to read the contract again, but it's not like something that you just go after and offer.
I think residents call the county and
That's
they
correct.
arrange,
Yeah,
schedule a pickup.
So there's a fee, though, for residents to do that. So I guess my question is, what is this?
Well,
When I looked on the SCAT site, it looks like there's a fee related to those pickups. And I'm just wondering what it is that the borough is paying for this. What is this service exactly?
I can show you the contract, if you want me to send you that.
I mean, because we have absolutely no information on our website about senior services.
We don't have senior services that goes through the county.
But so if someone in the borough, I know someone who came to the borough office, asked the question, never got an answer, And so I then provided that resident with the information of the SCAT services, but I'm seeing that we're paying for the third quarter, we're paying 2,000 and change for a service. I'm just wondering if we have any scope of what that service is.
I can find out.
So how would
I
I
can
get that?
send you the contract that we do every year on that. We do a resolution for that, and we also have a contract for that. I can send it to you if you like.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, Julie Titan, 605 North Avenue. On the consent agenda of resolution 2024 199. I know we had the town hall on Monday, but I'm still confused over if we apply for the grant and we obtain the grant. And CME does all the research, a $50,000 grant. Is it confirmed if we do not proceed with construction, not CME doing the research and everything else, but if we don't proceed with construction, do we have to pay that money back? There wasn't real clarification on
No,
that.
we don't have to pay it
Because
back.
Ben said there were timelines and parameters, otherwise we would have to pay that back. So I think there was some confusion on that, if anybody,
No, we don't have to pay it back. We have to execute once the clock starts, which we haven't started the clock. When we sign the agreement, we have 6 months to put a plan together.
so it's just the plan, it's not
Yes.
construction.
Just the
So if we decided to nixay the plan.
Yep.
We're okay with the 50K.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Beth Kepler, 504 Central Avenue here in Bradley Beach. I'm referencing for my comments this evening on the agenda, the executive session. And I'd like to provide the council with.
Yeah, we really aren't going to answer any questions on the executive session.
Thank you.
It's confidential.
I've provided copies for you, like people that are relevant. And things are. I'm referring back to the, on the.
But if this is a question about the executive session, well, this is for questions about the agenda and the executive. I'm sorry, but the executive session is not open to questions. I'm sorry.
She just said she's not asking a question. If she has a comment, let me get a question.
It's comments and
Right here.
questions.
Remember how you used to say it's no questions, it's only comments?
Yeah.
Now you just said it's no comments and questions.
Yeah, but the executive
I
session,
know that this is very uncomfortable for you, and it should be, and I would have normally have done this through mailing it.
Yeah.
However, the fact that you have a propensity.
I just don't appreciate.
Or you have,
Have some order.
excuse me, Mayor, I'm speaking, this is my time.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, up here. Okay, you have a propensity for hiding things, given the prosecutor's report. And I'd like to refer, I just served the borough and yourself with a notice of tort claim regarding my statements. One of the things mentioned in this tort claim is my comments that I made on September 25th, when I appeared here before you. And I was asking you and referencing about Mr. Menino and what his status was, and if there was an investigation going on. And at that time, you were well aware of the New Jersey Comptroller's inquiry and the letter that they sent to you and the administration here in the borough inquiring about 22 different documents that they were seeking from your tenure in the term of 21 to the present. And you failed to mention that. And not only that, you called me a jackass and told me to sit down.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite.
You need to review the tape, because you did. And that's kind of rich, considering that you start every meeting telling people how they need to watch their tone, and gauge their tone. Why don't you, I saw your ridiculous video
Like right now.
with the bologna and the hamburger, and you're trying to make light of something that's very serious. And it was when I told you that you would look good in orange, that you called me a jackass and told me to sit down. And because I have a disability, and I was intimidated, and I wasn't prepared for being called and ridiculed publicly as a jackass, I sat down. But I'm not going to sit down and be quiet anymore. I'm going to use my time. You can look at me and stare me down. You do not intimidate me.
I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm
Well,
just-
well, whatever.
Sorry, but
I'm feeling you, what you're pushing, what the energy you're putting out towards me, and you do not intimidate me.
I'm not trying to intimidate you. I think,
Well, you're being very disrespectful. I'm not done. There's no question pending. So you just listen. It's my turn to speak to you. You work for me. Get it straight. You got it very twisted.
I'm sorry, but in the state of mind you're in, I can't help it.
I'm not in any state of mind other than offended. And I can speak to you any way I want, in any tone I want, because my free speech is protected. And I will not be bullied. And in regard to mayoral candidate Bill Shook, who is also on the Office of Emergency Management and on the Land Use Board, he is also referenced in this document, because at his campaign kickoff event, my name, and I have the recording of the discussion of the individual who admitted that my name was brought up at that meeting. Why would that be? I guess we will find out at some point in litigation. But I will not be bullied. And I will not be intimidated. And it's less than 2 weeks before Election Day. And I really hope that the residents of this town choose very wisely. Now I'm done.
Thank you. Yes.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. I really hadn't planned on speaking, but when you tell me that I can't ask questions, kind of makes me want to speak. So, everyone knows that, I don't know. Even when Gary was mayor, I challenged the way our payroll was done. I think I've been pretty consistent in that. And I think I've challenged the use of Pine Point, whose fees are exorbitant. I don't know, they were supposed to be free. And I challenged all the years that the police department was not part of our payroll department.
No, I'm
So-
sorry, not part of the what? I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Payroll department, you
Oh,
can listen to
payroll.
the tape after I'm gone, thank you. So I was curious as I was listening to the presentation and reading it. Of all the responsibilities and different tasks that are done, or I should say done, that are on the list of things that might concern police department was time sheets or timekeeping, I think was the phrase, and payroll. Now, I have been assured for the last 3 BAs that the police department is now on the same payroll system and company as the rest of the borough. Am I assured of that still? Okay, so what exactly is it that your department would do for payroll? If you, I understand doing timesheets, that makes sense, somebody's gotta approve that, look at them. Fix the people that didn't sign in, all that stuff.
That's
Take
it.
me to the next step.
We'll submit
So submitting
To
is,
finance time. Overtime, extra duty details, that'll be submitted there.
so you don't do payroll, you're just submitting the timesheets.
We are, yes, we're not writing checks and, we're not. Well, no, we are doing that essentially for extra duty details and submitting it to payroll.
The payroll,
We are in the payroll process. Yeah.
the payroll company does not do math?
Yes, they do. We are part of the process.
Okay, that's a buzz, Bill, that's spin, it's quite offensive. And it just goes to show again, the dysfunction of this borough.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Not on the Champion 411.5 Lorraine Avenue. Just a comment from the Historical Society. Apropos of resolution 2024-190. After Monday's town hall meeting. We sent the following letter to Mayor Fox and copied the council. The Bradley Beach Historical Society is appreciative of your efforts to help identify space to house the society. We are also grateful for the suggestion that BBHS exhibition space be considered when planning ways to utilize the sewer pump station under the NJEDA Asset Activation Grant. We appreciate this consideration, but at the present time do not wish to pursue this further and ask that the suggestion for BBHS exhibit space in the repurposed pump house be eliminated from future borough discussions. BBHS looks forward to working with the borough on Main Street and on the boardwalk to keep our vibrant history alive in the hearts and minds of both residents and visitors all year round. We have such a great town. And I would like to encourage the council to consider the proposal from CMA for the asset plan and pick up some suitable use for this underutilized facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Linda W. 312 Brindley, I would like to speak to the chief for a second. Very great presentation, I really enjoyed it. I did notice on the last budgets that we had a body armor grant. Do we apply for that yearly or 3 years? And there's so many grants under the Attorney General. Do we apply for any of the
You're
other
talking
ones?
about
The body.
ballistic
Yeah,
cameras or
well, it says body,
bulletproof vests, like
well, they have that, and then
That's
they
what-
also have the
that we get grants annually.
there's other grants. Are there any grants for like vehicles or anything?
Yes, but it comes with stipulations, it may be. Size of your town, size of your department, there's a lot of things that sometimes you don't qualify.
I think we should qualify for everything.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
We won't be the best here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hurricane 216 Brindley, that's for the chief. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank you. The morale of your force recently is exemplary. People stop, they wave. My wife and I walking the dog yesterday, one of your officers stopped us, he goes, "Hey, you're not on Brindley." And I'm not here either, doing speech reps, so really appreciate it. Question I had, you have 18 officers plus the 2 SLEO2s, I guess, so say 20 people you could do. How many, you said you work 8-hour shifts. How many people work each shift? I know summer's probably different, but
The minimum would be 2 patrol officers on
Yeah.
on the road.
so you patrol the whole town with just 2.
Yes.
Wow, you do a lot of coverage, you see them all the time, so do you have nobody in the office or?
Well, the administration, like I said, myself.
Right, okay,
Captain.
all right, so you have 2,
But during the day, during your normal business hours.
Right.
There's all those officers usually inside.
Oh,
So
so,
we'll go out, we'll try to.
yeah, no, I understand, because if there's an accident, you know, you see
Right.
3, 4 people show up, so.
Right.
So typically for your office people and your thing, like 4 people, would you say per shift during the day, 5?
Well, yeah, you'll have the 2 officers on the road and then detectives, we try to stagger them, so they're always around.
Okay,
So, and you'll have, you know, myself and the captain will be here during the day.
okay, yeah, no, I just, when you said 2, I said, wow, that's pretty crazy for everyone.
Right.
Did that, so my last question.
2 and Mark police cars, right?
Gotcha, okay. My last question was, the Durango. I unfortunately had to watch one of your officers try to pull somebody over on Brindley the other day, and the guy almost dropped his transmission just doing a U-turn. I noticed, you know, I'm only asking this question because I used to run a large fleet for the company I used to work for. But I noticed you have Fords, you have Dodge, you have Chrysler, you have all these types of things.
Right.
Are you mandated by the state what you have to buy?
Mandated, no, but certain vehicles are under state contract.
Right,
So, and certain ones, so vehicles that are sent out to the police academy for training
right,
have to be what's called pursuit rated.
right.
So
So wouldn't,
only-
wouldn't most of your cars want to be the same if you're training them on a pursuit?
Yes,
car?
we'll see what happens. So we always try to get a pursuit car. Fords, a lot of times are very difficult to get. So if I try to get one now, I won't see it for 2 years. They seem to be the most popular.
Well, I was gonna, okay, go ahead. keep going.
The Chevrolet-
We're going to the same point,
Right.
but go ahead, yeah.
Tahoes are probably the nicest ones,
Mhm.
however, they tend to be the most expensive.
Right.
So, the Durangos, which are very good. Pretty much right around the same price point as the Fords. However, they seem to be more available.
Okay, yeah, well. All right, so, best way to say it.
Yeah, can you fill me in on your line of thinking here? 'Cause I'm
Yeah, I'm
lost.
gonna get there. I sort of thought that's where you're gonna go. But, you know, the transmission ratings on these cars is so different. It's
Right.
not even close.
Right.
So if you're gonna get, you know, Ford, which is probably the better transmission than the others, and the price was probably the worst. Well, of course, I think the prices are gonna be available, because nobody wants them. So my point is, you must, I'm sorry.
As a car person.
I know.
It depends on the motor that's in the car.
I get that, but my point is, instead of having to buy more and more cars because we bought a less performing car, will be nice.
Right.
You know, I really think that, you know, we should spend more time buying a better product that's just gonna last longer, and I don't have to change a car.
Right.
Because I had that problem when my fleet people came, they said, they blow a transmission at 70,000, we're not gonna rate that car again, so get a better car, so.
Not what we've barely had any transmission problems.
Well, I saw one the other day, but that's okay, you got one on one of your price lists, but, you know, I would only ask that, you know, you really should keep records of the cars, the miles, the,
Yes.
you know, whatever you call the, you know, the, idling, you know, and we really should spend our money wisely instead of just getting something second rate, where you're gonna pay twice as much money for. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to ordinances.
Yeah, there's someone on Zoom, Marianne Spillman, it's Marianne Spillman. Marianne Spillman.
Hello, I think I've unmuted myself. Is that correct? Yes, okay. Marianne Spillman, 902 Ocean Avenue in Bradley Beach. And I have questions about 2 of the resolutions, the 189 and the 190. And on the 190, it's references a promenade extension. And I don't know what that is, what that means. What are we extending? And is there already a permit in place? Because it says we're asking somebody to review the permit. So is there a permit already? And what is it for?
Our current promenade ends at, between Second and Third Avenue. We've gotten a grant to extend that further south.
Okay, so, and is that already permitted?
No, the process hasn't started yet.
Okay, so it says preliminary permit review and jurisdictional determination. So we don't have a permit yet to review?
We haven't submitted a permit yet because we haven't started working on the project yet.
Okay, so this is more than a permit review. It's different from a permit review then. It is determining what a permit should say. Is that what it means?
We're gonna develop the permit and then we're gonna develop a design plan for the promenade going south.
Okay, so this is not a review. It's establishing a permit or
Well,
creating.
Part of that would be the review with the appropriate authorities.
In order to develop create a permit or apply for a permit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the second one is on 190. And on that resolution, it says that this is for development of the existing vacant building. And this is the pump house.
Correct.
And this wording, development of the existing vacant building, is at odds with other things that we heard at Monday's meeting, where we were talking about adding on to that building. So it wasn't just limited to the existing vacant building. The plans that we saw, the preliminary concepts and the discussion had to do with adding on to that existing vacant building. I think this resolution should be rejected until it is clarified that we're talking about the existing vacant building only in the existing footprint without any additional building or construction on that site.
Okay. Is that it for your input?
Yes, that's it. As I would like the council to reject this resolution until it can be clarified that this is only for the vacant building in the existing footprint, nothing added on to it.
Thank you. Is there somebody next to that?
Yes, Deborah Hackins.
Okay.
Hi, this is Debbie Hatkins, 807 Ocean Avenue. This, excuse me, this grant that we received, do we have to put a museum in there? Is that why the grant was issued to us or awarded to us? Is because we said that there was going to be a museum in there?
No, that was our original, one of the two original rationales, and you needed some premise to say, we want to look at this, so if we come back with something else as part of that planning grant, that's not a problem.
It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I agree with Ms. Spillman that I'm hoping that the council will not approve 2024-190 without clarification. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Paula Gavin, Six Evergreen. I want to apologize for speaking out of turn before. I didn't realize that comments and questions were in order. So I want to apologize for that. But I do want to thank the chief and his team for all their good work and to offer to help with volunteers. And similarly, I'd like to offer the Environmental Commission an opportunity to help you with volunteers. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to the ordinance. I think our CFO is in the wings here.
There he is.
So, Mr. Gartz, this is Mr. Rick Gartz. Good evening.
Good evening.
See, Rick. Okay, we've got two ordinances here for introduction. I'll do just a quick overview and then council has any questions on it. Our borough administrator had provided an overview with some input from the CFO to the council to kind of compress those 44 pages of detail and the pre-bond documents down to something that was, I thought, a reasonable summary. So the gross bond amount that we're going to be talking about tonight is 6.1 and 5.215 million, which is 11.315 million. Our actual bond issue that we're seeking is 2.645 million. And the down payment, which is currently included and approved in our capital budget, is 147,121. So if you take the bond we are seeking and our down payment, the difference is 8.522879. 8,522,879. That equals the two bonds, 11,315,000. So just a couple comments, 75% of the projects that we've identified during the course of late 23 into 24 are being covered as a result of some significant work in the grant area. In fact, we're bringing back your tax dollars, county dollars, state dollars, federal dollars, because we have grants in all three areas. We're bringing them back to you and back to Bradley Beach. This is a point of reference, 8.523, $8,523,000 is more than an annual municipal levy. Our municipal levy this year is about 8.3 million, so it's a pretty significant amount of money. Our debt level is in the community is relatively low. This bond that we're going to go after, and Ricky's working with our bond counsel, Megan Bennett. It'll require less than $100,000 annually of taxable funds because it's about a 20-year deal. On the utility, it's about 35,000 on the beach utility, and that's more like a 24 year, and that's calculated based on the bond council's review of the. I think it's on the bond council. Ricky, is it you or the bond council that counts the years? Bond council does. Bond council. So that's an overview. Again, there was a lot of detail and that was 44 pages, but that's kind of in the nutshell. It's, we're basically bonding $2.6 million. We forecasted 147 in their current capital budget that was just approved, which created the trigger that we could start moving on these and getting the funding in place, et cetera. So with that, I'll see if the council has any questions on the two bond introductions. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask these questions for me, because I want to make sure I understand it, but as well, anyone in the audience who doesn't have the benefit of, seeing these documents, hopefully this will help us all understand it a little better, Mr. Garza. First of all, we're talking two different ordinances, one for beach utility, one for the current fund. That's correct. And if I've got my pages in the right order, the current fund is the appropriation, I'm looking at the summary at the bottom, 6.1 million. Bonds, notes authorized 1.8 million. Correct. Okay, and the flip side is on the beach, 5 million authorized appropriation, 845,000 authorized, bonds authorized. Correct. Okay. First question, the capital improvement fund funds the down payment for each of these, the utility and water fund. And we have sufficient funds in place today in those respective.
Yeah, we forecasted it. It's actually we wouldn't have the bond ordinance. Yeah, it's in the 2024 budget.
Okay. So because it wasn't that long ago, I thought, solely from memory, I thought we might have been as low as 100,000 in the current funds, capital improvement fund, but. There's sufficient funding. There are, okay, thank you. The other question I had was, we are identifying the full funding, the full appropriations, recognizing it's covering grant funding that we expect to receive. Correct. And can you just explain quickly how that works mechanically? We have authorized the funding, bonds may at some point be issued, but when do we receive the grant funding to offset the bonding that we may have to do?
Some of these grants, once you award a contract, the state will give you 75% of what that grant is right up front.
Okay.
To the specifics on the boardwalk one, I'm not sure how that one's working right now. I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay, so we may never have to issue bonds beyond the much smaller amounts you've identified.
You're not authorized to. If we were to make the 6 million to be authorized to cover you before you got the money back, then we'd have to put a bigger down payment down. So we're using the grant money as an offset not to have to do that.
Okay, perfect. And this read pretty clearly to that effect. I want to just confirm that for the record. The bond dollars that we might in fact authorize, I know some of that relates to interest, some of that relates to engineering. Are those the main buckets, or are there other costs that I'm not mentioning?
There'll be no interest associated with that. That'll be outside the actual ordinance itself. that will be associated with your annual budgets to cover whatever debt service is authorized.
Okay,
The 1.8 and the 845 is primarily your share of whatever the project estimate was, if not going to be covered by a grant. That could be soft cost, which is your engineer, attorney, and such things like that, permitting. There could be some hard costs as well.
okay, so, for the current fund, and I know we're talking, obviously, we're talking Main Street, that's a significant amount of borrowing, we're talking Sylvan Lake, the wall, the 2.4 million, give or take, 1.4 roughly for Main Street, and the rec center.
Yep.
Those are the three main projects, right?
Correct.
So can you, high level, just remind us all what the 1.8 million of money is that we would borrow, that is not including offsets we get for the grant funding. That's money we would actually spend over time.
Correct.
And roughly, what's that at 1.8 million reference? I'm aware, for example, of 265,000 for the rec center. But where's the rest of the 1.8 million come from?
Main Street improvements is estimated to be, the total project is estimated to be 2.3 million, of which 1.416 is a grant. So there's $883,000 that we're expecting for our cost against that project, which includes $300,000 in attorney fees and bond counsel, et cetera. So roughly $583,000 is for the borough's hard costs to contribute towards the project.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, so I know we're looking for the 1.8 million, you just mentioned 583,000 of soft costs. What was the rest of the?
300,000 is soft costs.
300,000.
583 is the borough's share of hard costs on the 2.3.
And hard costs examples would
It's the
be,
contract, the actual.
the actual construction
Yes,
contractors. Okay, and that's roughly 900,000 of the 1.8.
883, correct. 583 of that is going to hard costs, 300,000 is going to soft costs.
Okay, so that's, I'm rounding to 900,000, 583 plus 300. Roughly, what's the other 900 that we'd be borrowing for?
Your recreation center improvements has a total project estimate of $800,000. You have the local recreation grant of $74,000 offsetting that. And the county municipal parks improvement grant of $265,000, which leaves the borough's share at $461,000. Of that $461,000 on the borough's share, we're estimating $150,000 in soft costs. So roughly $311,000 would be towards the hard costs on that project.
Okay, so that 800,000 number is larger than what I saw the last meeting. It was like, I want to say 680,000 was the construction cost. Because I asked at that point.
I think it's hard and soft costs he's talking about here.
Of the 800 something thousand you mentioned? Was that just hard costs? or
That's the
hard-
total project.
So it's got both in there.
Total project, so you've got the 150 of soft costs as well.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that's. And do you have anything in there for Sylvan Lake as soft costs, hard and soft costs?
Sylvan Lake, total project estimate's $3 million. We got a grant of $2,442,600. The borough share is $557,400. $250,000 to $557,400 is for soft costs.
250,000.
Correct.
Soft again being engineering, legal, things like that.
That hasn't changed, yes.
I'm confirming for myself and for others who might be trying to follow
It's
this.
3 times, yes.
Is,
That's soft
would
costs.
environmental be a subset of that? Would there be environmental with?
Permitting, et cetera, would be soft costs as well.
Yeah, it's a soft cost, but it'd be under that umbrella of engineering.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, got it, thank you.
So my final question, if we were to approve any or all of these tonight, the individual projects. Let's say we don't approve all of them. Does that impact what you would suggest we bond for now? I'm making this up, but let's just say we decide we don't want to move forward yet with Sylvan Lake. Does that impact the number you would request us to bond this evening?
Correct.
It does not impact it.
It would. You have to amend this ordinance right now. You couldn't introduce it.
Oh, really?
That's correct.
All right. Well, I don't know how others are gonna vote, but I'm not planning to vote for all these projects, so I guess we should have had a couple backup plans.
I
Okay.
didn't realize I didn't realize it obligated us either.
Okay, how does that work, Mr. Gartz? If, for example, we vote on doing 4 of the 5 or 5 of the 6 or whatever it is, we have to come back.
You have to redo the ordinance with what you're gonna approve.
I'm sorry, you have to do what?
Redo this ordinance with what projects you're going to approve, with the specific dollar amounts that are associated with it.
Okay. Thank you for that education. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Questions? All right, make a motion to approve 2024-10. For a second,
Introduce.
We just second it and then,
vote.
and vote. Second.
Mrs. Noble? I'm confused here, so,
This is an introduction, not an adoption.
oh, okay, yeah,
So there's still an adoption hearing in 2 weeks.
okay.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
If we, would it make sense to do this in a different order, like do the resolutions?
No.
Go through the resolutions 186 through 190 first. To see if we're gonna approve all of them and then do this bond ordinance?
No, because we're please. Because we need to get the adoption hearing and approve the funds. We actually have to table these resolutions, the 5 resolutions, because we have to get the adoption funded. We have to get it approved in 2 weeks.
So excuse me, so we're
gonna table
not,
those 5,
we're not gonna be voting on them.
on those 5, right, correct.
So why are they on the agenda?
So how do we know how to write the bond ordinance if we don't know what projects we're going to approve?
Well, so I guess the question, we've approved through 2023 and 2024, we previously approved all these grants via resolution. We've approved going after these and getting these grants. Everybody on this dais approved those things. There's been no objection to any of these grants. We've secured the grants. So I guess the expectation was because we've approved these via resolution to go after these grants and we've actually secured them, that we would be approving them.
We haven't approved the way that they've been presented to us, though. We don't know what some of them encompass, such as Main Street. There was a committee formed. And we've asked for clarification as to what the determinations and recommendations were from that committee, and we haven't seen anything from that committee. So how do we approve planning for that if we don't know what that committee decided what was best for Main Street?
There would still be approvals of actual designs. We're still gonna have that process going forward. I mean, engineering is gonna go through a design process and come back to us. That's gonna happen as part of this process.
I don't understand that. I guess I'm not understanding the,
So, can I have
yeah,
ask
go ahead.
another question? Can I ask a question?
Yep, sure.
So Mr. Gart, I'm speaking only for me personally, but I, at some point, planned to approve all of these projects. I just needed more information on a few. If my belief is that these are all worthwhile projects, and maybe I have concerns about some of the total projected cost, projected soft costs even, that if my concerns could be remedied by, for example, doing less construction on the rec center. I'm making this up, but you're telling me it's 800,000. I'm making this up, hard costs. I say, boy, I'd like it to be less in the course of, moving forward with the actual approval of the contractors and so forth. Do I still have that ability to challenge some of the hard costs and soft cost estimates that you're providing? If I still approve the bond ordinance tonight, the bond,
When it's contract for you to approve, yes.
So we can approve this as long as I can approve this, each of these, I can approve this borrowing, this resolution to borrow. As long as I'm fairly confident I'm going to be able to approve all the individual projects. Subject to changes in some scope on the project work.
The contracts themselves, correct.
As an example, Lake Terrace Park, we had elements of that, that were more expensive than we thought. We actually had to drop some elements out. So as we go through the design and the estimation, we're gonna bring that forward and say, here's where we are, which, you know, and that's kind of the process.
Something like Main Street, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is like what the project's actually, what it's physically gonna go out for someone to build. So there's two more resolutions of these. The CFO mentioned the contract where you ultimately hire a contractor to fill whatever this project is. But you also have to pass a resolution to authorize the bid specifications that go out, that what, you know, whether it's gonna, I don't know, red improvement, blue improvement, whatever that is, those go into presumably when the borough engineer brings those plans back, and then this is the bid specs I'm gonna put out for this project. That's the, you know, there's two more steps here to do what you're talking about. Is the point, fair?
Okay, so as long as any one of us could vote on this, as long as we believe all these projects are worthwhile, we want to access all of the grant funding that has been made available to us. And if we want to have flexibility in terms of the costs, hard costs or soft costs, even in terms of the engineering firms that we work with, all of those things could be decided through a RFP process or a bid process.
Correct.
Okay.
I think another way to say it is that's not being decided by this body.
That is 100% correct.
Thank you. And what, we're getting there, we're getting somewhere. And then finally, what triggers you, our CFO, what triggers our CFO to specifically issue the bonds? Like, is it when we've contracted with that vendor who's going to do the construction?
Not necessarily up front, depending on how the grant funds come through. If 75% comes through up front on these grants, I would have that cash in hand.
Okay.
So that would alleviate having to take down debt immediately. So it's just a moving scale on where the project goes and when you need to actually have the money before I determine when you would draw down money.
So we're authorizing to be able to borrow, but you don't necessarily have to do that.
Correct. We just went through this back in March where you had certain ordinances outstanding that all the money was not drawn down on. We did a cash flow analysis of what we would need as the projects were progressing, and that's all we drew down on.
That helps answer my questions.
Any other questions?
Do we have to use the money if we borrow it? Or is it as needed basis?
You have to use the money if you borrow it. I would only borrow it if we actually needed it.
Right,
So it's not gonna be sitting there if I don't need it.
okay.
It's just like applying for a
capability.
line.
I mean, is there a particular project that you're concerned with here? I mean, these are five pretty urgent projects. I mean, I'm
gonna express just by way of a comment here. I think
I'm sorry, Councilman, I'm asking Council President a question.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, John.
Thanks. I think the trepidation is that, like, just for example, with the 54 Ocean Avenue. You know, the first time Ben was here and he showed a picture of a building and it doubled the size of that building, I thought we were all pretty like, "Oh, we don't really want that." And then he came back months and months later and he had the same drawing, and I had to specifically say, I do not want the footprint of that building expanded. And then there was a meeting earlier this week, which I was not at, but my understanding is the exact same drawing was presented. So I think the trepidation is getting into something that we're all saying no to. We don't want it to look like this, and we're gonna borrow money for something, and that's the concern. So I'm kind of hearing like there's two more steps in the process. We have a way to make sure that that doesn't happen, but I don't understand why these things that we say we don't want keep coming back at us.
Well, I can answer that partially, and that is that, I don't know, it was last February or March, he did a rendering. He did no more work, 0. So that's all he had to show. He's done no work, and he has not been authorized to do any more work on this until we authorize the work.
Okay, so you understand the point?
Yes.
I have the same picture that we said we didn't like.
Yes, I understand.
So, on that same topic, so would there be another building built next to that one pump house?
No, well, we decided.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no decision to do anything. The first thing that has to happen is that shell a viable building? And what's it gonna cost to put plumbing? What's it gonna cost?
I understand that, but we're just talking about that one shell. We're not gonna build another shell next to the other shell.
That is currently, I would suspect that's not gonna happen, correct?
Is it going to happen or you suspect it's not gonna happen?
Well, so we have to have so part of the process is to have actually public hearing on that. I expect that the public hearing will be, don't do that. And we listen to that public hearing, we take that input and we make recommendations based on that, and the engineer will too.
Okay, and then I also had a question about the Main Street improvements. I know you had a committee and there was going to be a report and I did not get a copy of that report.
Ben emailed me today and said he is pulling that together and he should have that within a week.
Okay.
But we're not going forward with any of that, we're just.
Okay.
Responding.
I have concerns, Mayor, that you use Lake Terrace Park as an example about something that was modified, because when Lake Terrace Park was designed, you sent letters to people who lived around Lake Terrace Park to come give input,
Right.
and you didn't invite all of the public. And I don't understand why just certain members of the public would be invited to a meeting about a public park. I showed up for that meeting. I did not get an invitation, but I had heard about it. And so, not having,
So you'd like the total public invited to the public.
so now you're,
So.
So I have,
so I will give you-
severe trepidation about moving forward with certain projects, knowing how something like Lake Terrace Park was run.
I think Lake Terrace Park was run very effectively, but I will tell you,
You might say effectively, but it wasn't run fairly.
well. The reason people in the neighborhood were asked to come in was because we were going to change the fences. We were going to change the shrubbery that was bucking up right to their homes on Newark Avenue. So we wanted to have a strong focus on them and a strong focus on the people on Lake Terrace Drive who gave us input on an ongoing basis about what worked and didn't work in the park. So if we'd like to do hearings, including the whole town, that's fine. We can do that. That's not a problem. It's not a problem.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I know that we have one project that absolutely we need to get started on. The promenade, right? We need something started by 12/24, right?
Well, there's a couple of projects that have a time ticket. I'm not sure.
The agreement needs to be enabled.
Yes.
Needs to be signed by that date, right?
No,
Where-
not the hard work.
Not the hard work, right?
So,
And the pump house, once we have the agreement, we have 6 months.
correct.
But that is the one that we've got to move on, but I'm not sure. I would like to see Ben's report. I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know if
For Main Street.
for Main Street.
Yeah, he's
So
sitting
I-
down for us next week.
I just don't know why there's a problem with delaying this for 1 week. So we can vote. I mean, 2 weeks, so we can vote. Was that?
No, you said we're gonna table these resolutions.
The resolutions, yeah.
I don't know if.
Well, remember, there's an introduction and an adoption. This ordinance does not go into place without an adoption vote at our next meeting.
Does it have, but, okay,
So, Councilwoman,
help me.
what's making me feel better is the mayor said, I believe, I just want to confirm, that we plan to table the individual resolutions.
Yes.
On each of the CME projects, so we are only tonight being asked to approve the.
So approving the bonding doesn't trigger the actual bonding itself. It doesn't put anything in motion.
Correct, but this is also not approving the bonding, it's the introduction.
It's the only the introduction.
Correct.
It's only,
So if you have subsequent questions over the next couple of weeks,
okay,
ask the questions.
okay, so we could vote it down in 2 weeks.
Well, there's an adoption hearing. Actually, the public would be able to
Okay,
comment.
okay, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve 2024-10. Do I have a second? Leave you second.
Second.
I had seconded.
How many second thoughts?
Kristen already
I already
seconded, so
seconded
now
the
I'll take
vote.
a roll call vote.
Yep.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
We actually voting on this? Is that-
Introduce it, yes.
Okay, so. I've seen heads in the audience vehemently shaking no. Throwing thumbs down at me and many more things. Based on the discussion we had in Mr. Garza's explanations. I am at this point not at all concerned that we are committing any funding to any projects that I would not approve. I think all of these projects are worthwhile. Scope still to be determined in my mind, size of buildings to be clarified. Expenditure levels, hard costs and soft costs to be further determined. But at this point, we are being asked to introduce an ordinance that will allow the process to begin. First step to being able to ultimately issue bonds to fund this starts with an introduction. And so far, now that all my questions have been answered, I don't have any problem voting yes.
Thank you. Ms. Mahoney?
So as we could tell, I was a little confused. This is just an introduction, so we're gonna introduce this. It doesn't trigger the issuance of the bonds. And, we'll make sure the scope of the projects is correct. So I'm just going to approve the introduction. So I say yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes, I'm glad that we've gotten to this point with these projects, again, began late 2023. There's been a lot of hard work to secure this funding, again, 75% of the cost of what we're gonna do is gonna be funded by county, state, federal funds that we've already secured, so that's very significant. When all this is done, we look back and say, this is basically costing us $100,000 a year for 20 years. Hopefully, everybody will be happy with that. So, thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Gartz.
You have to do a, for number 11.
Number 11.
A vote for number 11.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You have two of them.
There's two of them.
There's two.
I'd like to make a motion to pass 2024-11. Have a second.
Second. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
For the reasons I stated briefly moments ago, I vote yes again.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Do not worry, I'm gonna make sure they do not expand the footprint of that building on the ocean, so I will vote yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes, now, my comments that I just stated, I meant to make after this, so I won't restate. Thank you, Ricky, if you don't need to stick around, unless you'd like to stick around.
No, I'm good, thank you.
It's a ordinance introduction.
TJ.
Can't we ask our CFO question?
At the adoption meeting,
That's
yeah,
what we paid for.
at the adoption meeting, yeah, the process is
But he's
ordinance
here.
introduction, he's gonna be at the adoption
We
meeting.
have additional questions beyond that, beyond the ordinance. We pay him as an employee. Can we ask him questions during the public comment coming up?
He was asked to come in for the ordinances.
And that was by who? You, the administrator?
I'm sorry?
That's by you?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Is that a problem?
Well, I would like to question an employee during the public comment, but he only comes in for a little bit.
I'd be happy to field any questions you have.
Oh, I'll look forward to it.
Thank you. Okay, communications. I do have some communications, but I'm gonna hold those to my comments. Let's go to resolutions. First, the consent agenda, 2024-184, bill list for October 23rd, 2024. Do I have a second for the consent agenda?
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. On the individual resolutions, I'm gonna make a motion to table 2024-186, 187, 188, 189, 190 until November 7th. Until after the adoption hearing, which goes that way anyway, but I'll make that motion to table.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Okay, Sure.
Can you make a motion for the Halloween curfew?
no,
That we do have to
the-
pass.
the-
Sorry, okay,
hold
sorry,
on, I got you, I got you.
thank you.
We have 2024-185, authorizing the purchase of a police vehicle package pursuant to New Jersey State Contract Division of Purchase and Property Contract number 23, Fleet 34-933. Make a motion to approve 2024-185.
Second.
Mr. Noble, I did have a question, but you, the chief answered it in, your presentation. Thank you very much. I asked if, any cars are gonna go to auction. And you said yes, 2 of them. So thank you for that. And yes.
Mr. Gubatesi?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
I apologize, I forgot about 185.
Okay. And we normally, just a question for the captain and chief, normally 1 to 2 vehicles a year, the auction? Or do we wait and bundle them up?
Auction,
Yeah,
try to do one, get one.
yeah, so get rid of one, get sold. Okay, that's, yeah, because DPW, we kind of bundle up the DPW and code. Although I still see the Mercury Marquis in the north lot.
That's one, that's gone.
Yeah, that should go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that one too, yes.
Yeah, that's a hazard. Okay, 2024-191, approving the borough Halloween curfew for 2024. I do have a question on that,
Yes.
probably for the police.
Okay.
This is a curfew for Halloween from 8 PM to 6 AM,
Yes.
correct? We don't do anything for the night before Halloween, the curfew on that. Oh,
I think that's part of.
It is part of
Yeah, it
it.
is? Oh, okay, because I read the overview and I didn't see it. So, okay, so it's both. Okay, thank you. Okay. Make a motion to approve 2024-191.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
So this includes Goosey Night.
It includes Goosey Night.
Okay, and I know
Goosey Night or
What did you call it?
Goosey Night. In North Jersey, we call it Goosey Night. You had Goosey too?
No, we're just shooting night down here. We're not done. Only the Benny's call it Goosey Night down here.
Okay, did we get back to,
Sorry, okay.
did we vote on this yet?
I'm voting yes.
Okay.
Okay, who did the second? I'm sorry.
I'll say second and yes.
Thank you, Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
No goose.
Okay, no announcements, and we'll go to mayor and council reports. I can start. Got a couple things. First, I'm happy to announce the next set of police department promotions. Sergeant Josephine Solaro has been promoted to lieutenant, patrolman Kevin Gale has been promoted to sergeant. The ceremonial formal swearing in for both these officers, in addition to Captain Browning, will take place on Wednesday, November 13th at 5:30 at the firehouse. For those who didn't attend the chief's swearing in, it's a very exciting and fun ceremony. So hopefully we'll have good attendance with 3 swearing ins. I got a feeling we're gonna pack the house, so that's gonna be a great and congratulations to them and to all the officers that applied for the job. It was very tough decision making because we have some excellent people on our force. As I mentioned at the last meeting, the Bradley Beach Office of Emergency Management under Mr. Goldfarb's leadership had gotten us a 75-watt portable generator. And speaking to him the other day, he's now acquired 200 blankets to supplement our emergency shelter needs. We've got a road trip to Secaucus tomorrow to pick them up. But thanks, I want to thank OEM for continuing their preparedness and working through inventories and seeing what we have and what we need. So that's great work. We've had a fairly rocky, bumpy road as it relates to our affordable housing process here in town. I'm not going to go through that chronology that started in 2021 with the immunity judgments and declaratory judgments that we got. And that we reversed last June. We lost our immunity last June. We actually didn't lose it, we gave it up. But I just, this is preliminary, but on Friday, we received our short-term and long-term requirements through 2035. The short-term number is 64 units and the additional 30 long-term to equate to 94 units. So we've got some inquiries to do and some work to do on that. That's, just wanted to communicate that. We held the Mayor's Wellness Walk on Sunday, October 13th. Kathy Heaney, a DVM, President of Heaney Veterinary, did a great job on Healthy Dog, Healthy Youth Part 2. That's the end of our season of walks and with the expert series sponsored by the Wellness Campaign. I'm just going to hit the highlights on the library and the recreation. I'd ask everybody to go to the website because it's just chock full of activities right now. On the library, tomorrow we've got 2 events going on, Read for the Record and the Bradley Beach Visual Arts Community presentation of the Harvest of Colors art exhibit. Again, all the information's on the website. Next Tuesday, the 29th, what do I put in my kid's lunchbox? I'm not gonna go through all the detail because it's 3 pages of information, but again, it's on the website. The Friends are gonna have a fundraiser, the Friends of the Library on Tuesday, October 29th, at Halloween Dance fundraiser at 6 p.m. Again, on the website, it's a $20 per person. Thursday's November 7th, authors will speak about their books. The books are on there with the schedule. Tuesday, November 12th, The Beauty of Butterflies, it's for ages 6 to 12. November 14th, there's a wellness book club, Living with a Green Heart by Gay Brown, that's tied into our Mayor's Wellness campaign. On the rec side, just something going on every day, matinee, movie Monday, chair yoga, table tennis, Bradley Beach Rec Kids Dance Club, Homework Helpers Club, Open Rec, Open Play, Marjan. And then this weekend, we've got 2 leagues, actually starting Friday. Friday's Ghoulish Gathering. They're holding a jack-o'-lantern contest at the rec center. If you look at the website on that, it looks very, very interesting. And the weather's supposed to be great, so that'll be great. And on the 27th, Sunday, the Trunk or Treat, it's our 3rd annual Trunk or Treat that we do in the parking lot out here. It's from 1 to 3. It's a great event. We get people from in Bradley Beach, outside of Bradley Beach. It's become quite an event over the last 3 years. So invite everybody to come to that. And I think that's it for my comments. So Council President.
Oh, okay. There was no Shade Tree meeting, so we'll go right to tourism. Sunday's a really big day. They're having the Bradley Boo, which is trick or treating on Main Street, and the rec center is also doing trunk or treat from 1 to 3. Oh, the trick or treating starts at noon, and then trunk or treats 1 to 3, and then from 3 to 5, there's live music in Riley Park, and then followed by that is the Halloween parade at 5 p.m. hosted by the Bradley Beach Fire Department. And let's see, with the school, the Bradley Beach Board of Ed had a meeting October 15th. And a couple of highlights, the Bradley Beach Elementary School received a bronze award from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for safe traveling, whether they're walking, biking, or driving to school. And certificates were given to Jill Schworn and Bob Pearsall for crossing guards. Greg Panza was there, Detective Greg Panza with the police department. And also Courtney Pappas from the rec center was awarded a certificate as well for keeping everyone safe. So congratulations to everybody and nice work. In addition, the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment scores were presented and the students have greatly improved this year. So good news all around. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am the police liaison, and I have an extensive report from Captain Terry Browning. There is nothing significant to report. Thank you, Captain.
Hopefully next meeting won't be either after Halloween.
I am also the liaison for the Sylvan Lake Commission, and the lake is actually kind of in the throes of tackling or having a lot of different projects tackled around that. And the commission, so that's generally good news, but the commission is struggling to keep track on the status of these different projects. So in the last commission meeting, they voted, they made a motion, voted to request of each of the mayors, our mayor and Avon by the Sea mayor, to begin a process, set up a process to start tracking those projects and to give periodic, perhaps monthly status reports. The projects that I took note of, there may be others. I see the chairperson, Ann Polity in the room. So Ann, if I miss anything, please add in. But the projects that they'd like to get more regular reporting on for purposes of tracking not only the project work, what's the status, have we completed that, not completed, but also status of grant funding opportunities and so forth, include extending the ocean promenade, fixing the flume or the gate. There's a slow leak in the flume at the moment, and there are concerns raised by residents about losing too much water and getting potential risk to wildlife. Completing the repair of the outflow pipe, repair of the lake bulkhead on the Bradley Beach side of the lake. And the fifth project I have captured is the broad, I talk about this all the time, the broad restoration of the lake that could include measures of any contaminants that might be in the sediment in the lake, as well as possible dredging of the lake. So I applaud the commission because they're trying to take a very active role in giving the governing body guidance and recommendations. But to do that, they need to have a little better understanding between any reporting we can provide or Avon by the Sea can provide. So, and did I miss anything? Those are the big ones. Okay, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mahoney.
Thank you. I think Jeff Curtis covered the environmental commission for me, so I don't have much to say. We did the beach sweeps and
Still here too.
I know, and I told him, feel free to go as soon as you do it. Hang around here. And we'll meet again, the environmental commission will meet again on November 4th. The land use board met on October 17th. Bulk variances were granted for a house on Newark Avenue with 8 variances. A house on Park Place was granted, bulk variances were granted for a house on Park Place with 1 variance, and a use variance was granted for 705 Brindley Avenue. And the land use board will meet again on November 21st. That's my report. Thank you.
Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Fletcher Lake Commission is gonna meet again on November 7th, it's the day after the regular council meeting, and they're already planning for 2025. They've done a spreadsheet with all the tasks and all the different things that have to happen to keep the lake running. They get it done every year, but they're just trying a different approach to put it all down on paper and assign people to the tasks and all that. So they're taking a new approach to planning. We're still getting good comments about all the wildlife on the lake and the lack of Canada geese on the lake. So they're very happy about that. Happy with the geese control that we have enacted there. So for the first aid squad, for the period ending today, the squad responded to 9 day calls and 9 night calls for 15 calls. 9 were for medical, 4 were for fire, 2 were for motor vehicle. Squad participated in Fire Prevention Week, and a presentation at the elementary school, and they demonstrated their equipment there. And they also participated in the medical overwatch for the fire department and the students. Squad conducted a drill for the safety and education of the membership on safe lifting and movement of patients. And they want to congratulate Noreen Verbrook. Sorry, Noreen, if I messed up your name, but on passing the national EMT and certification by the State Department of Health, bringing the total number of EMTs serving Bradley Beach to 10. The squad requested no mutual aid assistant, and they fulfilled 100% of their assignments for this operational period. As always, they're looking for volunteers. There's free training for qualified individuals. Applications are on the borough's website, and they're accepting applications for the cadet program, which is for people 16 to 18 years of age. The fire department asked me to let everybody know and to invite everybody to a candidates forum that they're having at the firehouse on Sunday, the 27th. The event is at 7 p.m., but the doors are at 6:30. I don't know if there's gonna be refreshments, but why don't you just go and see if there's refreshments at 6:30. The 27th is gonna be a busy day because that's the day of the Halloween parade. So if you go to the Halloween parade after the voters are crowned, I guess you can go right over to the fire. It's like right on the heels of that. So it's a very busy day for, go in costume, go to the candidates forum in costume, why not? Okay, that is that. At the beginning of this meeting, the mayor was talking about maybe having another meeting that's not on the schedule right now. He's talking about asking the administrator about that. I'm gonna suggest that he asks the council about that. Hopefully we'll get some communication about that. And then my final point is something related to the election and something that's on the ballot. Just to let people know some details about this charter study commission. And I'm gonna read from a statute, and that's New Jersey statute 40:69A-5. And that's about the organization of charter commission quorum majority required for effective recommendations. And then I'm gonna read another part of this statute. As soon as possible, and in any event, no later than 15 days after its election, the charter commission shall organize and hold its first meeting and elect one of its members as chairman, fix its hours and place of meeting, and adopt such rules for the conduct of its business as it may deem necessary and advisable. The majority of the members of said commission shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business, but no recommendation of said commission shall have any legal effect pursuant to sections 1 through 15 and 1 through 16 of this act, unless adopted by a majority of the whole number of the members of the commission. So takeaway there is they have 15 days to start their work. If this charter study commission is approved and they get going, and that's 15 days after election day. Then also reading from 40:69A-10, report of the charter commission. Copies. The charter commission shall report its findings and recommendations to the citizens of the municipality in accordance with section 1 through 9, within 9 calendar months from the date of its election. For the purpose, it shall file with the municipal clerk an original copy of any final report containing said findings and recommendations made by any member of the commission. It shall also deliver to the municipal clerk sufficient copies of any such report to permit distribution to any interested citizen. The municipal clerk shall deliver a copy of any such report to each member of the governing body. If the charter commission or any member or members thereof shall recommend the adoption of any of the optional plans of government as authorized in sections 1 through 12 or 1 through 13, such report shall contain the complete plan as recommended. The takeaway here is they have 9 months to do their work. And after 9 months, from November, basically, we're talking about early August. So that's why if there's something going on the ballot, it's gonna go on the ballot following November. So November 25 is when you're looking at something for the ballot. If the voters approve a charter study commission, that is up to them. And that is my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, we'll take public comments. Yes.
Dr. Tom Barr, 6 Lee Avenue. Last meeting, I think the meeting prior, we were talking about the zoning. And I just heard Chris's report about the 319 Marine. And I remember Mayor Patu asked, saying that it was being brought to the land use. Is that
In November, yes. I think it's scheduled. I think Christie met with the borough administrator and set a schedule Tuesday, yes.
So when's it scheduled for?
Third Thursday of November.
November 21st.
Okay. And as far as the demolition, where are we with the demolition?
We're getting the package ready to go.
When should we have that?
I
don't know.
can't say.
Okay. And the last thing was about the introduction, because my wife and I were talking about the introduction that you guys just did of bond ordinance. Is that similar to the introduction of like when you do the budget, that now you have to do certain things? Because you're not adopting it, you're just introducing it. Is there anything attached to the wording that was written in anything? Because that obviously would get the entire bond ordinance, so is there anything in there that says even if you introduce, you have to do, or can you guys decide, say, I'm not saying you're going to, but could you knock down the project, say, listen, we don't want to do Main Street? Is that a possibility, or do you have to now that you introduced it?
We can vote to not adopt it.
Or we can table it.
Okay, and also I'm not sure, I can't remember the difference, but, I know things have timelines, like this isn't gonna be important, say you do adopt the ordinance, but you don't do the projects, I know one has to be done by December, I think you said. But what if the other ones are pushed till January, do we have to reissue a bond ordinance, or that one will carry over to 24?
Carry.
Okay, okay, so. Next time, I feel like if those items get brought back up, I mean, I'd like to talk about them, because I feel like we're getting nowhere. This is like the second meeting, and no, we still think we're getting what's called a museum or something on Ocean Avenue. So I hope that next meeting is a little bit more productive, because there's so many items on there we need to discuss again. So I hope that we can do something better our time, if not, just wait. It's just wait after the election, so that Mayor Fox and his administration has nothing to do with this, because I think that's what we should do. Because I think if we can wait, let's wait, because I don't trust him. He said things before and it doesn't happen, just like the meeting, just like even this last meeting. No one knew about this meeting on Monday, and then he sent out an apology, with the email, so it didn't make sense. So I really don't trust the way that he's gonna handle the situation at all. So please, if he does put anything up there, if you could table it during the meetings, we do the agendas, push it, until like next year, if we can. I don't know what the grants, how they're tied to it, I don't know all of them, so it would be great for us. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
Jake Hogan, 612 Third Avenue, Mayor. I'm gonna ask the questions that I would have asked Mr. Gartz. We have employees, business administrator and a CFO who we pay, and we'd like to interact with them, but for some reason they disappeared. I'm sorry, Eric, I'll ask you other questions. I'll ask. Mayor, these are the questions I have for Mr. Gartz. Where is the 2022 bad audit corrective action plan?
I think he's going to combine that with the 2023 together.
You think, or do you know?
Yes, he's going to do that.
He's going to. They're two separate documents, so, okay, when will we receive the 2023 audit, which was due on July 1st of 2024? We were told by you it would be in the October timeframe. Well, we are kind of in the October timeframe right now. How are we doing?
It's in process. I know, the last time I spoke to Mr. Holloway, he had about 190 pages of it done. It's in process. I don't know exactly his delivery date. I can find that out.
But it's not the October timeframe that you previously told us.
Well, today is October 23rd.
So the next 8 days, you got this covered?
I'll have to check with Mr. Holloway.
Okay, great. And has the 2023 audit been completed for Ocean Township?
I have no idea.
Well, that's why I was asking Mr. Gartz these questions, because he's the CFO for Ocean Township.
Why
But you
is
said
that,
you-
why is that relevant to this building?
Because it's important to know how other towns do things, okay?
I know that he gave me a number. 123 audits are not complete in the state right now.
Okay, great. Now, has Patterson's 2023 audit?
I don't know the
Okay,
answer.
when he does Patterson, I thought he'd be able to answer the question like that. The other thing, I just wanted to let you know that, when the New Jersey Comptroller's Office does investigations and research, they oversee over 560 municipalities in the state of New Jersey. They are doing audits, reviews, and reports all over the state. So yes, other towns are getting investigated by the New Jersey Comptroller's Office.
When nobody's being investigated, we had a data inquiry.
A data inquiry, okay, the data inquiry, okay. Well, I just wanted to let you know that there are a lot of other towns.
Yeah, I'm aware.
So, yeah, okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Chief, I wanted to thank you for your presentation tonight. It was so refreshing to have something that was put together so well and articulated so well. You haven't had a chief that did that in a long time. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Beth Kepler, 504 Central Avenue. I'd like to know when the borough was in receipt of the letter from the comptroller's office dated August 5th, 2024, and who was made aware of it besides yourself, Mayor Fox?
I don't have the answer offhand.
Did you receive the letter?
I'm sorry?
Did you receive the letter?
Yeah, we did.
Did Meredith read the letter? Was she aware of it?
As I said, I don't know. You asked me about.
You're the mayor, so.
I know I'm the
did
mayor.
receive
You
the
asked me a
letter?
very
Who did you-
spec- I'm
who
sorry,
did
you
share
asked
the
me a very,
information with?
you asked me a very specific question
Right.
about a specific date. I've seen, or experienced with you, when I give you a specific date that may be off a little
How about
bit,
specific names, just names?
I,
Who did you share?
I don't-
Well, let me rephrase, I'll rephrase. Who did you share the information with?
with whoever needed to provide the data.
I'd like names of those individuals. Did you share it with the council?
There was no data required for the council.
So that would be no. Council President, did you receive it?
No.
Councilman Guzzosi?
No,
I have requested it this week.
You did, but you still haven't received it? No. Mr. Cannon, did you receive the letter? Were you aware of it before you read about it in the newspaper?
Was not addressed to me.
Was it shared with you by the mayor or anybody? Did you learn about it from the newspaper?
As I've told you before, Ms. Kepler, I respect your right to speak at the microphone and say whatever you want, but I'm not going to answer questions about the discussions that I have with my clients, as you can imagine, right?
I understand that you need to protect the borough.
I have an ethical obligation to. so
I
it's
know,
not
I
like you
understand
respect
that, and the fact that you can't answer it speaks volumes to me, and I understand that and I respect it. Is it normal for you not to be shared that kind of information? Is that something that should be shared with you as the borough attorney? You don't have to tell me whether it was or wasn't, but generally based on that type of
I mean,
letter,
frankly, it's not really my purview. Right?
so it wouldn't be
You
something.
have the letter, you saw the addresses and that, I don't answer the comptroller.
Okay, I just want to let you know that your ridiculous video with the bologna and the burger bun that you made light of a very serious situation about. I forwarded that to the comptroller for their review, to see how they feel
They're entertained. Thank you.
about your attempt at comment. Because the resident taxpayers don't find it very funny.
I've got a lot.
There's a lot of money missing.
There's no money missing, I'm sorry. And
Oh, really?
No,
What
me-
about all those material misstatements? Where's the COVID money? Oh, I'd ask Mr. Gartz, but he's not here. So where's the COVID
The
money?
380, what is 300?
Yeah, where was
Four-
it allocated?
the
Because
four-
multiple residents have asked where that money was allocated and how it was spent.
434,000 over 2 years.
Right, but where, how was it allocated?
It went to general surplus.
Really? Well, many people have been asking about that for a very long time. It's nice to finally hear right before you're out the door and in orange where it won't went. Excuse me? So. Oh, and by the way, who's our bond attorney again? What's her name?
It's on the website.
Oh, John Bennett's daughter, it's Kim Humphreys' ex coworker, where she was the BA and he was the borough attorney, his daughter. What is the bond, how much commission will Ms. Bennett earn on that, writing that bond for the borough? That multi-million-dollar bond? You don't have to answer, that's rhetorical. And then let's talk about, how about a formality question? When the new mayor comes in January, thank God, it's 14 days till election day. But when the new mayor starts, does the new mayor have the authority to appoint a new bond attorney? Is that something that would be in the purview of the new mayor? Can anybody answer that?
It would need advice and consent from the council.
But I'm saying if it's up to that new mayor to propose a change of the bond attorney if they so chose. Okay, does anybody know how much commission the bond attorney would make off of that bond?
My recollection is there's a fee schedule in there in the proposal we reviewed. I don't recall the amounts, but there's a sliding scale kind.
A lot of money. A lot of our money.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
All right, a long time to sit in one place. You good questions. Rebecca Kaplan, 409 Brindley. Mr. Fox, do you dispute any of the information council member Weber just presented regarding the Charter Study Commission?
I'm not gonna dispute anything Councilman Weber said.
Okay, do you then recognize that the information he presented is completely at odds with the disinformation that you've been putting out on the issue? You talked about a much shorter timeline. You talked about an election months before November. That's a yes or no question. I can repeat it if you want. You recognize the information you presented is completely at odds with what you've been putting out.
I think there might be a difference in account.
Okay, so will you then issue an apology or retraction? And an equally public correction of the correct information?
I'll take that under advisement. Thank you. Yes.
Regina McGuire, 610 Brinley Ave. Just to add to what Tom had asked, when you introduce the bond ordinance, does this allow now to hire Ben to take a lot of next steps? Just in his preliminary
I'm
work?
sorry, ask that question again.
Ben from CME, just because it's introduced now, can he be hired just to take next steps for a lot of these projects?
We have to approve the funds
Okay, for every little thing.
for the projects we're talking about.
Right, and for every little part of the projects. I just noticed your demeanor while that whole process went on.
Like demeanor.
Yeah, and you were really happy that that passed after the fact. And it
Well,
changed, and you were really comfortable.
I think, my.
Please, let me just finish, I'm sorry, let me just finish.
Well,
And for me, I couldn't help but feel like you just were awarded something. And I feel like there's fine print somewhere in a grant, in some of these projects, that the introduction of this bond ordinance maybe means that some other steps can be taken prior to the big parts of the projects. I just keep asking, please, can we just wait for our new mayor? We don't have a 2023 audit. We have the comptroller in our town. We have material misstatements on our last audit. We have had the worst transparency that has existed in the last 4 years in this town. Can we please not give anything for another penny to Larry Fox? Please, I feel like the residents deserve that. And I'm sorry, I am a fan of all you council members up there. I am having a really, really hard time with this. I really am. He does not deserve a yes vote for anything. We cannot trust anything he does with our money, and we should not try to get any more loans right now. We don't even know what the 2023 audit shows. We don't know what our money looks like. He doesn't share it. He doesn't share it. Please, from now until December 31st, please, not another penny. I don't know how much more to ask of this. I'm sorry.
Thank you. If I expressed a different demeanor after that, is there a problem? You're
There's
making,
someone on there,
Yeah, that's- there's a number of people on there, that's great.
Great, yeah.
If I expressed a different demeanor after the approval of the bonds, it was that it was probably a positive view that a number of people have worked very hard for a year and a half to secure $8.5 million of funds to improve our Main Street, to fix the bulkhead on Sylvan Lake, to extend the promenade for safety of our residents, which was put in peril at the Superstorm Sandy, and our recreation, which the location ain't great, but we've been continuing to try to improve it. And we created a real draw into our recreation. So my my smile or positive feeling is that that was a milestone to get moving. We couldn't move on any of these projects without a budget approval, so they were stalled for 5 to 6 months. So yeah, was I happy about it? Yes, I was very happy about it. And most of our residents, I would say 99% of our residents would probably be very happy when all these results come in, when we have an improved Main Street, when the snow fence comes down on Sylvan Lake, when hopefully we can take the promenade to Ava and put a safety concern for our residents in place. So any other comments? Yes.
Nancy Merrill, Ocean Park condominiums. I don't know what it entails. But one little thing that would make me happy would be if the pump station were renumbered 954. It is on the 900 block of Ocean Avenue. It is very confusing to say 54. I would think it's real simple, but you know, this town, try to do something really, really teeny. And all of a sudden pies in the sky, which is why I'm agreeing with Ms. McGuire. And I'm pretty displeased with that vote. Again, we're going back to the Engelstad administration, where I know I asked 1,000,001 questions regarding OEM and having a shelter. And we learned that we're allowed to know about one. There's 3 others we can't know about. And in that one, only 120 some odd people exist. So why do we get 200 licenses? What are we gonna do with them? I'm disappointed that you approved a car. The police department. Beyond my usual comments of the police department, we don't know what accessories are, it was vague. We also know that's not all we're gonna pay for. Cause then they're gonna outfit it. And we know how much that cost from the last time. And I would have really rather seen DPW get something, like a contract. And you could even add to that money. The fact that with one of those things that the CFO was discussing. I think he said $300,000 was going to attorneys. 500,000 was going to the project. Imagine what those men in green could have done $300,000 in a contract. Makes me giddy to think what they could have done with that. I did go on the website and lo and behold, it only took about 23 minutes. I found we have a finance department. And it lists a CFO and accounts payable. It does not list an assistant CFO. And then I'm waiting still for information. Like an answer to a letter from April 15. There's 2 meetings left. Take a deep breath. You can't even put a Band-Aid on these things. Just try not to do damage. It's very alarming. Because it's not just financial damage. It's pitting for somebody who thinks that we're all neighbors and should be nice to each other. You've got the unique position that you've pitted us against each other. And it's disgusting. If you can't hear me, play TJ's tape. And that's another thing. Can we standardize how we do this? Because there were people I couldn't see because there's that little box down there.
Nancy, if we took that box off, Zoom's gonna go off.
You didn't used to have it?
Well, it's up there right
Wait,
now.
hang on, minutes.
Okay, I'm just explaining that we're gonna lose Zoom, which I know nobody in this audience wants, so it's gotta stay there.
Well, again,
Next
that's
time
a
it won't be
new
there.
problem. And that's the other thing, the bill list came out, it was, organized in a different format. I'm not saying whether it was better or not, but it would be nice to have things standardized. Which is also a problem here. So again, just got 13 days into an election, approximately 2 months until there will be a new mayor. We don't know who that will be, but hopefully they will listen better to the residents.
Is there anyone on the board?
Yeah, Mary Ann Spillman. Mary Ann, did you have another question?
Yes, I do. I had a comment.
Thank you.
You. I know that the council has decided to table the resolutions 89 and 189 and 190. But I would still like to make the recommendation that you do not submit that exact same resolution when it's untabled, because it needs clarification about the development of the existent vacant building. It needs to clarify for the residents and for the engineering firm that this is to stay in the existing footprint of that building. So I would like the resolution to be clear on that topic, since we all have that understanding now. The other thing is, I understand that this is a $50,000 grant. So I'm not sure why we're talking about a bond or a loan or anything else. This planning grant for $50,000 is supposed to cover the engineering proposal. Yet the proposal far exceeds that $50,000. So I think that the resolution itself should state that the $50,000 grant is to cover their services and no more. I don't think that should be so difficult when we're talking about toilets. We're talking about maybe 3 toilets going into that building, or 4, or whatever it turns out to be. But $36,000 to design a restroom essentially seems high enough that there's some wiggle room for them to relook at their proposal, because what they were still proposing was triple the size of that building. So naturally, their expenses are going to look a lot higher. But if it's clear that they're staying within that footprint, as the resolution should read, and that they should stay within that $50,000 grant, then I think we have a proper specificity in the resolution that both the residents and the engineering firm can understand. So I recommend that this resolution be clarified, the wording be clarified before it is untabled or resubmitted.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
I just have a few questions. I'm sorry. Linda Duffy, 312 Lindley. I remember when the gentleman for CME, Ben, was here, he went through the date lines for all these grants that we got, and I thought that maybe the most closest one would be the rec center. Does anybody remember the other dates when they expire? Because there was quite a few, and they were out there, they weren't so close to today.
They're
The rec
getting,
center, I think, was to January.
they're getting an extension, they applied for an extension for the rec center. It was the,
Yes, but there should be like somewhere on the web that says when they expire, when they apply for an extension. So we don't have to come up here and ask the question again, because another question that I have is, do we always lump ordinances for bonds together?
It varies. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Because the lady was right about the pump house. And we have to actually have a master plan and actually plan the most important things that we need to do in our town, which the pump house is not, but it is an important thing. And plan them out and do them in the right order, instead of like spreading them all together and then not spreading them out. As they come up, like the rec center, when we had the proposal from Ben over a year ago, he had plans, and that's why Mr. Weber was talking about certain trees that might have to come down. That was a concern. Why did it take so long to get to this point now, when we had that?
Because we couldn't
information?
do anything. because
No,
we
it was
never-
way before
No, no.
budget introduction.
Because, no, because we did not have an approved budget. You
No,
can't
it was
have
way
that.
before that time period. I believe it was. Wasn't it? I'm thinking it was, that we had that introduction or that workshop, and then
Right, so
the
if-
budget was due what, in July? I'm not trying to
No,
argue,
no,
I'm
I'm
just trying to
talking,
get a
if
time.
you're talking about 2023, we worked on these things in 2023, but we knew that going into 2024, we're gonna have to budget those items. In terms of capital budget
And
and,
an ordinance that had a bond.
no, in the capital budget, so that. If we had an approved budget and the capital was there, we could then begin.
But it was
to-
there last year. Wasn't it there last year?
Well, we have capital budgets every year, but not for that specific project in 2023.
I don't understand, I'm not clear. Somebody's, I don't understand that.
It's the joys of municipal budgeting.
No, I just need you to explain it a little bit further. I'm not trying to be difficult. I really can't wrap my head around it. So we had the proposal, or we had the plan, which in essence, you're saying we didn't have the money.
So when we submit grants, we have to have some outline of a plan. So in 2023, we submitted plans with grants in order to,
And we got the grant.
yes. Then you still have to go through a process of budgeting it, getting bonds, approving it, all those steps.
But why didn't we try to get the bond earlier?
Because we didn't have, part of the bond is you have to have money.
In order from 22?
No, it's not a lot. It's, you have to have the down payment money, and that was in our capital budget. The $147,000 we introduced tonight is in our capital budget for 2024. That's a component of the whole package. It's what they're gonna pay, what we're gonna bond, what we're gonna down pay.
I'm glad I'm not financed, to tell you the truth, because I really don't understand what you're talking about, but I'm gonna keep tabs on it. Neither to say that I'm not going to, but, I really wish we would have the dates that they expire somewhere we can access them. And what Ms. Greenblatt was saying about the transportation, that actually should have been on our website. Because not many seniors, but a number of them do access it, and we don't have any services for seniors, and that is a service that we're paying the county for. That we should have the information on how to access it. And that would be very beneficial, because a lot of them use taxis and call other people to drive them to doctor's offices and to wherever. Thanks.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close and.
Can I just say something really quick? I'm sorry. Chad, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so because you're crazy clerk, this is gonna bother her all night. I ran into my office before and I got the SAT agreement. Because I think the answer was really gonna hurt me. So, for the SCAT agreement, what this is, it is for, it's an agreement to sponsor, agreement for food shopping transportation for senior and disabled population in the town.
So that's offered to the residents.
Erica, your time's up.
For senior, senior and disabled residents, yes. I'll still send you the agreement so you can read through it and get a better idea of
Thank
what it
you,
is.
I very much appreciate that.
No,
We
that
can-
was gonna bother me all night, everybody, so.
That's just for food shopping, is it?
Yes, just for food shopping, it's for nothing else. Now, I believe that there is something for doctor's appointments, because I remember a resident calling me one time and asking me about this, and I
It's
didn't
free.
want.
It's free. And I feel like it's great.
No, but that
Gave me all this great information. There's free Uber rides for seniors back and forth doctor's appointments in Monmouth County.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay, but I do, because there is a number through the county,
Yeah.
so I can plan to give it to you, because I do have it, remember, I have to call resident back, it's that person. But that has nothing to do with SCAT, so I just wanted to clarify, because one is gonna bother me all night, and I kid you not.
We're going to next to them. They're really.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, make a motion to close the meeting into executive session.
Second.
Second, third.
Mr. Noble? Yes. Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
And Mayor Fox.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Okay.